Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6. It's time to get up and get your day started. Morant. A jawbreaker! It's Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports 56 Mornings is brought to you by the Big Green Egg. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Late evening for folks who were at FedEx Forum last night, but what a night. Great evening of basketball, and the Hoops for St. Jude Tip-Off Classic was certainly a success. Things could be improved upon for the future, but hopefully this becomes an annual event. It was very interesting, to say the least. We will talk about that on the program as we welcome you in to Sports 56 Mornings on this Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers with you. We're in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, it's where family and fun come together. The world's biggest spa sale. Motors right along at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. And the first hour of the program is brought to you by the Big Green Egg. 40 degrees right now if you're heading outside your home in the metropolitan Memphis area. It will get up to 63 today. That is it. That is perfect in my book. Sunshine. And then tonight, we're looking at clear skies and an overnight low of 39. Again, sunshine in the foreseeable forecast. I do not see rain until Tuesday the 29th, so closing in on Halloween, but that's always subject to change. Coming up on the program today, Barrett Sallee, rescheduled for Monday, is scheduled to join us at about 7:25 to talk college football. At 8:25, more on college football and maybe even a little college basketball with Jerry Palm from CBS Sports. At 9:05, we turn our attention to the Memphis Grizzlies and to Michael Cole from the Commercial Appeal. And then at 9:25, Memphis Tigers talk with Parth Upadhyay from the Daily Memphian. We'll take your calls and texts on these Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. We will open up talking about the Hoops for St. Jude Tip-Off Classic and the Grizzlies making some news yesterday with the multi-year deal given to Scottie Pippen Jr. There were several NFL trades yesterday. Interesting day, to say the least. Also tonight, the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame will induct their latest class. We'll talk a little bit about that. And there's also the coaching salaries in college football list has been revealed. It's been released. And time permitting, we'll go over that as well on the program. So another busy edition of Sports 56 Mornings. I know you were at the Forum last night, as was I, and it was a fun night.
Yeah, it was fun to see it. It ended up being a good atmosphere. Folks were into the games. It was cool to see North Carolina there, and yeah, it was a fun evening for all.
We have the Tigers in North Carolina on the men's side, and the South Carolina women and the Memphis women getting together as well in the nightcap of the doubleheader. We had the men's game where things got a little chippy there in the second half for an exhibition game, which was quite interesting. The crowd was good. It wasn't great, but the crowd, as you said, was into it. So the people that were there had a ball. The games itself, the Memphis men's game against North Carolina was extremely competitive early, still competitive at the end as Memphis made a rally there late, but North Carolina showed what they are made of there early in the second half, made adjustments at halftime, and we'll talk about that specifically. The women's game went as what you thought it would. When anybody faces South Carolina, they're facing the best. Now, Memphis, they battled, but they were without a couple of players, including their star transfer, Didi Hageman from Michigan State, who's not academically eligible for the first semester. So they were shorthanded. But even if they were at full strength, it's tough when you go up against Dawn Staley and South Carolina. But the fans were there to see some good basketball. And for exhibition games, for the first games for those teams, again, it doesn't count on your record, I thought the basketball was pretty good. Again, the atmosphere was terrific, all for an amazing cause, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. A lot of dignitaries were there. We saw Gigi Jackson from the Memphis Grizzlies, of course, is a former South Carolina men's player. And we saw from North Carolina the former star big man Armando Bacot, who is part of the Grizzlies camp roster at least. We'll see what happens to him once the regular season begins. But it was delightful. Now, there are things that they need to work on. Certainly, if this becomes an annual event, you want to get that word out a lot earlier and promote it a lot more. Maybe they lacked a little bit in that. Maybe that had something to do with not the biggest crowd in the world. But it wasn't small. I mean, they announced over 9,000. The whole thing that bothered me a little bit was the kind of confusion of the Grizzlies production, the Tigers production. It was just weird. I mean, the Tigers band was there. I don't even know if they played. You had the Grizz Girls out there. You had the Fun Bunch or whatever they're called, the Blue Bunch out there. It was a Grizzlies production, but maybe it should be more a college production with the assist from the Grizzlies. Again, things to work on for the future. But overall, I thought it was a delightful night.
Yeah. I really thought the one performance by the Grizz Girls was outstanding.
I know the one you're talking about.
Just a little confusion, I guess, there with the DJ on that one, on what song to play. So they just stood there and then ran off the court. But, no, I mean, again, it was, the lower. First of all, I was really impressed how many North Carolina fans were there. Quite frankly, I was not expecting that many North Carolina fans. I know they're one of those teams that has fans everywhere. It was kind of cool. A few different times when they got the Tar Heels chant going and the Memphis fans would respond. I mean, it was, again, the atmosphere ended up good. The lower bowl, which I think they sent some people down from the upper bowl to fill in the lower bowl. The lower bowl filled in nicely as far as that goes. So on television, the crowd looked good. Mm-hmm. That again,
people were in the suites. I know that
people got into the game. As the Tigers made the comeback, it was the people were into it. It ended up just I thought the atmosphere, everything, it was a fun night. I mean, considering this is an exhibition, like. The exhibitions we've seen in the past, like it's just not that. So it's cool to play these types of exhibition games rather than playing one of those others where the Tigers win by 30 or whatever, and there's really nobody there that cares.
And both Coach Hardaway and Coach Davis talked about that a bit. And Penny made the point that it helps when you play Lemoyne Owen, Lane, when Andre Turner was there, Christian Brothers, certainly with their bottom line economically for their basketball program, those type of games can subsidize that program for the entire season. But you are going to learn a lot more about your team playing these type of games. And the beneficiary, whether it's St. Jude or something else, like in the case of when Memphis plays in Huntsville against the University of Alabama, there's a benefit there or a beneficiary, and that's going to happen all around the country. So these games are here to stay. It's a great test for your team. You find out, like I said, a lot about your team. And so, again, with much respect for those smaller schools, this is the way it should be, and this is the way I think it's going to be for the future. Maybe once in a blue moon you'll see that exhibition game against a Lemoyne, but I don't think, for the most part, that will happen. So, on the court, the Tigers, and that's not a deep roster. They don't have a ton of players, and that's not a problem as long as you stay healthy. And they did not have Moussa Cisse for the first game, but Moussa is expected to be a big coming off the bench and not a starter. And Abraka Okogie, who has not practiced that much, did play, which was a little bit of a surprise to people. Other than that, it was the guys you thought, the starters, P.J. Haggerty, Tyrese Hunter, Colby Rogers, Dane Danger, all new players, and the only holdover of significance is Nicholas Jourdain. I say significance. He was a player last year who played. They have Noah Stansbury, who's on that team, Rick's son, who did not play. But really, it's a whole new roster. And this team, I'll give you the positives, in my opinion. You can tell me what you thought. They battled. They were not afraid to stick their nose in the middle of scrums. They rebounded the ball pretty darn well. They blocked some shots They were there for some really good help defense. So I liked what they did there. Now, Carolina was really pushing it. And Memphis likes to push it, but they were a step behind a lot of times. Carolina beat them down the court. Carolina burned them a number of times with the pick and roll. So there are things that they can get better at. Memphis will, hopefully, and Penny addressed it, get better in those areas. Again, you got a new team. You're trying to find that chemistry. So that's not the end of the world. But I like the way they battled. I really do. Offensively, shooting's going to be an issue, as it always is. Rodgers looks like he has a really good shot. Carter coming off the bench has a good three-point shot. But their scoring is going to come from paint points, driving to the lane, whether it be Hunter or whether it be Haggerty, and finishing. But Dane Danger, who had the first bucket for the Tigers, and I thought to myself, oh, here we go. This guy is going to be really tough down low. He was a non-factor. So between Danger and when Cisse plays and Tyreek Smith, they're going to have to get some production from those guys. Jourdain's kind of an inside-outside guy, and he's good. He's got a motor. He's not as talented as some of those really, really good players. I'm not saying he's untalented. He's a talented guy, but he doesn't have the skills of some of those guys, but he has the motor and he has the want. And those are invaluable players. So I did like a lot of things. After the game, Hubert Davis was asked about Memphis, and he said they are definitely an NCAA tournament team. Of course, we'll see what happens. They have to prove it on the court. One coach's opinion doesn't mean anything. And that's pretty much a wrap of what I saw for one game. Certainly not discouraged by any stretch of the imagination, despite an 84-76 loss. They battled back when they fell behind, I think, 15 in the second half. Made it interesting down the stretch. But they got to get better defensively. They got to have a better understanding of what the offenses are running against them, especially the pick and roll. And then offensively, got to figure out a way to knock down some outside shots.
Yeah, certainly when it's your first exhibition game, like there's going to be some things that you kind of expect. Both teams had a ton of turnovers. That's not to be. That's pretty much expected in your first game against an opponent like this, and especially high-caliber opponents. So with both teams over 20 turnovers in the game. Shooting, I'm not real surprised that you might have some issues shooting. First game action, legs could get a little weary. You're in there in different gym than where you've been practicing, all of that stuff. So some of that stuff, not surprised. I thought P.J. Haggerty looked and did the things that thought he could do in getting to the rim and just go getting buckets when you need buckets. He can do that. Certainly, Tyrese Hunter shows a lot of ability to do a lot of different things. Danger certainly, if he's. I haven't looked up what he was as a free throw shooter at Illinois, but I mean. You can't be 1 for 6 at the free throw line. That just can't happen. Like he did not look good. He does not look good at the free throw line, and I'm not sure what kind of free throw shooter he is. I'll need to check that. But Colby Rogers, I assume he's going to make threes. Like he shot too well before to not shoot better than 2 for 11 from 3-point range. So they played hard. I will say this on the North Carolina side, Seth Trimble.
He was incredible.
Dude, he is. I was reading some stuff where they have been raving about what he's been in practice. And boy, were they right. That team with Cadeau, R.J. Davis, and Seth Trimble, that three-headed monster backcourt, good luck. Because Cadeau is, I think they've got he's a fantastic passer. In the pick and roll, the pocket passes and stuff he throws, he has unbelievable vision. He is a great passer. He was last year, and certainly not going to change. Like that's a really good North Carolina team. Yes, they were without R.J. Davis, their best player, but Cadeau and Trimble are a hell of a combination, and then there's plenty of other talent there as well.
By the way, were you surprised Cadeau played 36 minutes in an exhibition game?
Yeah, I mean, he played his guys like Trimble 33. Tyson played like he was clearly
30.
playing his guys, like whether it was just trying to get them into shape or better whatever, see what they had. But yeah, that's a good North Carolina team, even without R.J. Davis. Where they have R.J. Davis, they're going to be again. There's a reason they're ranked in the top 10. And if they get that play out of Trimble, then they are going to be really, really tough to beat. But I thought the Tigers played hard and gave themselves a chance down the stretch. So I don't think there's certainly anything to be disappointed about. I think from Penny's perspective, it's what you wanted out of this game. You got to see your team against a high-level opponent, how they responded, things like that, and now you get to go back to work with a couple of weeks before the season starts and kind of know where things stand.
Well, you got that game against Alabama. You're going to learn a lot more about the team, the second game, compared to the first game. As you said, a bit sloppy, 22 turnovers for Memphis. And last year they were having a lot of games when they were around 20 turnovers. They have to cut that down. But they did force 21 from North Carolina. Shooting from the outside, we mentioned Memphis struggled just 5 of 23. They're not going to be a great shooting team, but they're going to be better than that, I would think. North Carolina didn't really light it up. They were 8 of 24. That's only 33%. But you mentioned Trimble. As Coach Davis said after the game, that was one of his best performances ever, and probably a lot had to do with his maturity. He's older now, but also no R.J. Davis, so he had more opportunities. He was 11 of 17 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, and he made all 8 of his free throws. Although Carolina missed 9, Memphis missed 11. You mentioned Dane Danger. This is Danger Will Robinson. At Baylor, his first year, he was 67% from the free throw line. At Illinois, his first year at Illinois, so his second year in college basketball, down to 52.5% from the free throw line. Last year at Illinois, not a lot of attempts, but it dropped to 47.7%. He was 1 of 6 last night. He short-armed almost every free throw, except for the one that went in. And that could be a big problem down the stretch in a close game if he's on the floor. And you would think you need Danger. So, that's something to keep an eye on. Hopefully, he can become a little bit better because those numbers are not good. But as you said, look, a lot of positives. I think, here's the deal. I was talking to a lot of people last night, and then people on Twitter, on social media, and they were happy to see the Tigers compete the way they did. This team reminds me more of Penny's first team. People are saying the Kendrick Davis team, but there's no Kendrick Davis. Haggerty is a taller version of Davis, but not as good. But maybe he has that ability. Kendrick Davis was a special player. There is no DeAndre Williams. So I don't see that being really comparable, with the exception that there are role players on this team. Should they win the American Conference? UAB's got everybody back, but they should be right there. And I have a feeling that they're going to have to win the conference. I cannot imagine Memphis having the type of non-conference success that they had last year this year. The schedule is formidable. They're going to hustle. They're going to scratch and claw. But, talent-wise, it's not as talented as last year. Doesn't mean it can't be better than last year. And the hope is, after last year's debacle at the end, certainly in conference play, they become a better team. Okay, the women, the nightcap, they lose to South Carolina 106-63. As I mentioned, most teams are going to get clobbered by South Carolina, and Memphis was without several players, including their star pickup in the portal, Dee Hageman from Michigan State, who is not academically eligible for the first semester. So I would imagine that Memphis will be much better, maybe not good enough to knock off a South Carolina, but certainly a much better version than what we saw last night. But we did see them compete. We did see them battle. We saw that from both the Memphis teams. So I don't think Alex Simmons is upset by any stretch of the imagination. Dawn Staley is a class act. The things she had to say afterwards in her post-game press conference about St. Jude, about the importance of this game, and talked glowingly about Coach Simmons and the University of Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, there's very little expectation going into that game for the Memphis women when you're playing the juggernaut that is South Carolina. I mean, they're the best team in the country. They're the defending champions. Like, it is a reload and go out and do it again. I was impressed by the ovation when South Carolina came out for Dawn Staley. That place erupted when they came out of the locker room. I was like, wow, I was not expecting it to be that loud for South Carolina coming out of the locker room, but that was impressive.
It's all about her. You think about it last year, other than Caitlin Clark, the biggest name in women's basketball, Dawn Staley. Dawn Staley's the biggest name in women's basketball, bigger than Kim Mulkey, bigger than anybody else I can think of, even Gino Auriemma. I mean, that flame has not been extinguished, but certainly it's not what it was at one point. And he was kind of the polarizing type coach anyway. He was either beloved or not really appreciated and not liked as much. She is beloved by everybody. So not a surprise that was the type of ovation that Dawn Staley got.
But yeah, it's they're good. This just in. South Carolina's women are good.
They really are. So, again, I mean, it's a learning experience. It's much better than playing a small Division II school or whatever the case may be. I know it hurts them in the bottom line, but it helps Memphis men, Memphis women, or any team around the country to be able to play these type of games as tune-ups for the regular season. All right, a couple of other things real quick, and then Barrett Sallee will join us. The Grizzlies have signed guard Scottie Pippen Jr. to a multi-year deal. That means he takes over the 14th roster spot. They had to fill that, I think, within a couple of weeks after the start of the season. They get it done now. I don't think that surprises anybody. That leaves an open two-way. I'm sold that Yuki Kawamura is going to get that two-way, but we'll see, to join Cam Spencer and Jay Huff. But I don't think it surprises anybody that Scottie Pippen Jr. gets the multi-year deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they looked around if there was nobody else out there or a need that they felt they needed to put on that 14th roster spot. Gives you the opportunity to you knew at some point this year you're probably going to promote him to a regular contract. So if there's nobody else out there or no other need that you feel like you need to fill, put him on that deal now, frees up that two-way spot. If there is somebody you have your eye on, it certainly very well could be Yuki as a way to keep him here because he could certainly make a lot of money back in Japan if he were to choose to go back over there.
Mm-hmm. He's popular as hell.
So it gives you an opportunity to give him more money if you do put him on the two-way deal as a way to keep him here. But good for Scottie Pippen Jr. He earned that roster spot. I mean, with the way he played in the summer league and everything else, he did a heck of a job to earn that spot.
And they have that 15th spot available for whenever they want to use it later on in the season. God forbid another key injury, but certainly if it's a move they want to do to bolster their roster, they certainly can use it at any time. They do not have to fill that 15th spot, but Scottie Pippen Jr. gets the 14th roster spot for the Grizzlies. The Yankees double up Cleveland last night, 6-3 at Yankee Stadium in New York. They grab a 2-0 series lead in the ALCS over the Guardians. Aaron Judge with a home run and a sacrifice fly. Today it's Game 3 in the NLCS, the Dodgers and the Mets from Citi Field as the scene shifts to New York there. Series tied at 1-1. We'll take a timeout. Barrett Sallee will join us on the other side. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue is a great option today for lunch, for dinner. Anytime is a good time for Corky's. You're tailgating Friday night for high school football, Saturday for college football. Bring along some Corky's. You got a big event coming up. You want it catered? Corky's can do that. They've been catering for as long as they've been in existence, which is over 4 decades. When you head over for lunch or dinner, add a third of a rack of ribs for just $7.99. What a deal when you purchase an entree. They have lunch specials every day, party packs that start at just $7.49. Located at Poplar Avenue in Memphis, Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Germantown Parkway in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. And if you have a birthday or an anniversary, a family reunion, anything that's coming up, and you want to have it at Corky's, you can do so by reserving their private party room at either the Cordova or the Olive Branch locations. Just give them a call. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time, free gun rentals with purchase of ammo, and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Hi, it's Colin. You may have a pair of headphones you like, but the battery life is too short or maybe they don't stay in your ears. Enter J-Lab. J-Lab is crafting headphones, earbuds, and work accessories designed for everyday lifestyle. For travel, I use them nonstop. I recommend the J-Buds Lux Over-Ear headphones. Discover your perfect pair of headphones. Look for the J-Lab Blue Box at retailers everywhere. Walmart, Best Buy, Target, or make it easy. Just visit jlab.com.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called Godhopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Just a couple of minor accidents out here. More EMS calls in the last 20 minutes than we've seen accidents as traffic picks up on that ramp coming up Austin P Highway onto I-40. It looks good right now. 40 westbound as you come in from Fayette County, passing 269 Chambers Chapel, Canada Road, coming down 40 west all the way to Sycamore View Road. Hey, at the Humane Society of Memphis, Shelby County, you can adopt a pet and change a life. For more information on the pets that are available, log on to their website at memphisHumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:28 the time. Just underway on this Wednesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Yes, I said Wednesday, but it's time for Barrett Sallee.
It's time to talk some college football. Joining Greg and Eli is Barrett Sallee, host of the College Football Smothered and Covered podcast and SiriusXM College Sports Radio and columnist for Outkick.com. Here's Barrett Sallee with Greg and Eli.
Barrett Sallee joins us each and every week. Normally on Monday, we had to push it to Wednesday this week, but it's always great to talk to Barrett. You can follow him on Twitter at Barrett Sallee. First things first, how's your daughter doing? Barrett, you there?
A little crazy still. I told her not to ride a bike without shoes on, and she ripped up her toe. So.
Oh, jeez. It happens. Get used to it, buddy. Went through it with my kids. Went through it, and I think everybody's going through it. Well, it's great to have you on. We have obviously a lot to talk about. Having you on Wednesday, a little bit different this week because we can look more at what's coming up as opposed to what just happened. Last Saturday was very interesting to say the least, but this weekend, I'm not going to say it's Separation Saturday, but we're going to learn a lot more about what's going on specifically in the SEC this Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. 2 games back-to-back, Tennessee, Alabama, and then Georgia, Texas. Georgia, Texas, one that we've been looking forward to for, ever since the schedule came out. I don't think they realized that it was also F1 weekend in Austin, but let's just say if you're looking for a hotel in Austin, you better empty out your 401k because I ain't ready for that noise. But yeah, it's Separation Saturday, or to me, I think it's just a weekend where things come into focus, right? Because we have all of these elite teams in the SEC, or what we consider elite teams, and these 4 are 4 of the 5 or 4 of the 4, whatever you want to say, and the only one that really is flawless in my mind is Texas. So. We're going to learn a lot. There's no doubt. And I think it's one that is going to, not just show who's who, but also, really bring the entire championship game race into focus because there are going to be some head-to-head tiebreakers that become pretty big moving forward.
Before we dive into some of those matchups and also the college football coaches pay list has been released, the pay survey, and I want to get your thoughts on that as well. I did want to bring this up. I was not surprised that they looked into it, but really surprised if they've made this rule change this quickly. And I'm talking about what happened in the Oregon-Ohio State game with Dan Lanning, the move to put the 12th player out on the field and give up the 5 yards to take 4 seconds off the clock, precious seconds, that really hurt Ohio State in the end. According to what I'm reading here, the NCAA is examining the rule, which I saw yesterday, about the 12th man. And now, according to a report, the NCAA is planning to change the 12-men penalty this week. Changes would likely direct officials to return the clock to the original time. This is exactly what as soon as on our show Monday, I said, they're going to look at this rule immediately. I did not expect them, if this changes this quickly. I've never seen anything change, if it does happen, that quickly to a loophole that Dan Lanning found.
Yeah, it's surprising. One, the only thing I could compare it to is maybe the sticky stuff in Major League Baseball, where halfway through the season they, started doing those checks when pitchers came off the field and when they came in the game and things like that. But yeah, this is it, man. Dan Lanning's an evil genius. To find a loophole that has been in existence and nobody exploited, I mean, it's remarkable. And got me wondering, got me thinking: is there a group of a cabal of coaches who knew this and just never told anybody? it just never got out. It is very interesting that they're taking such a quick action, and it surprises me that the NCAA and the Rules Committee never thought of something like this. So it's never a dull moment. In the middle of a season, changing the rules, and don't necessarily like that. But if it's something that is clearly, that they tried to address and just missed a small detail. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm okay with it, but my whole thing is look, is Dan Lanning does he have the greatest staff of all time, like Dr. Evil, or is he, is there a group of coaches that knew this and practiced this, and we've just never been in a situation where it needs to be implemented? I don't know, but man, either way, I don't get mad at Dan Lanning for it. Good for him.
No, not at all. And again, this is if that report is true. It's not been announced by anybody else, but it may very well be true. All right.
You mentioned, obviously, Texas. They're the one team that still hasn't taken the loss. last week, I didn't even think, especially early in the game, Quinn Ewers didn't even look that good, and they still just completely dominate Oklahoma. What do you expect out of them versus Georgia?
I think they'll be fine. Having some rust is not something that I, really am concerned about with Quinn because, he came back and he was fine. And, man, it's funny with Texas, and we talked about this on Sunday on SiriusXM, that they've kind of navigated through all of their issues, right? Quinn got to a slow start, but he found a way to get through it. Their running back situation was a disaster going into the season, and here we are in mid-October. Yeah, no big deal. They got it. They got it covered. I'm not concerned with Quinn. I think the overreaction after 2 series of put in Arch was really just, I think fans online looking for E-cred. And, to me, Quinn is just fine. I think the bigger concern is the health of their receivers. With Bond out, I think they'll be fine. I'm not the biggest Isaiah Bond guy to begin with, but, it'll be fine. I think for Texas, all they want to do is get into a minor shootout because we've seen Carson Beck make some pretty bad mistakes, some pretty inexcusable mistakes, especially on the road. So is Quinn good enough? Is he healthy enough to do that? Yeah.
If Georgia doesn't win this game, and I think there's a good chance they do win in Austin. I don't know why I feel that way, the way Texas is playing. But if they lose this game and they still have Ole Miss ahead, which may be a de facto elimination game, if they lose that game, 3 losses, the only team we have talked about that could possibly be a 3-loss playoff team was Georgia. But I don't know. What do you think if that happened, that scenario, they lose to Texas, lose to Ole Miss, have 3 losses, that's toast for Georgia, or do you still think they have a chance?
I think they have a chance just because the schedule, that's tough. But a 9-3 team, I've always said, even a 9-3 team in the Pac or in the Big 10 or the SEC, you need the landscape to evolve in a very specific way. And I don't know if it will, kind of based on how, he sort of evolved so far. It would take a lot because there are some group of 5 teams that have a lot to sell. Would a couple of those be in the top 12? Would you have 2 as at-large teams? Because again, we're talking about a 9-3 Georgia team. There's not that's not to say they might be behind, an undefeated group of 5 team or a 1-loss group of 5 team like Boise State with a superstar. So, it would be possible, but I think it would be unlikely. And I've said since the system came out, even after the Pac-12 dissolved and, there became 5, conference champion automatic bids rather than 6, that a 9-3 team is still going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot. Again, not impossible. And I think if it does happen, a team with a schedule like Georgia and a track record like Georgia would certainly be one that has more of a chance than others.
The Tennessee-Alabama game, do you have any guess as to what to expect out of either one of these 2 teams?
No, I really don't.
Short answer.
I think with Alabama, they just look uninspired. They can't block anybody. Now, granted, South Carolina's defensive front is filthy, but they can't really block. And Tennessee's strength is up front. They've looked like they've been rattled at times. So, but on the flip side, Tennessee's offense has been below average. I think that might be kind.
Yeah.
So I can't get a firm grasp. But if Alabama is so unpredictable at home, and like I say that knowing they beat Georgia at home, but even within the confines of that game, there was a half or mostly a half where it was just like, what the heck are you guys doing? And then South Florida, they didn't look good. Obviously, South Carolina, they didn't look good. So if you have that issue at home, what's going to happen on the road in a huge game like this? Because this is a little bit more of a hostile environment than Vanderbilt, and they lost to Vanderbilt. So to me, I would say Tennessee is, that crowd's going to help. The defense is certainly a big problem, against what a matchup nightmare for Alabama. So, long story short, I have no idea.
I'm a little
I
surprised.
just caught myself in a circle, and I don't know.
I'm a little surprised to see Alabama as the favorite.
I am too. I am too. I thought it'd be a pick'em, and I don't want to call it an insult to Tennessee, but maybe it's just the Alabama name, the Alabama helmet that they think that the public thinks still carries some value. I tell you what, I don't think it does. Like, I don't think South Carolina looked at that helmet and was scared.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think teams think that right now.
Vanderbilt
Because Saban isn't on that
Vanderbilt
sideline.
certainly
To be
wasn't.
honest with you, Saban's not on that sideline. They're not fearing
It's
him.
Saban. Like USF did, fine. I don't think Georgia cared all that much. I mean, that like it was big bad Bama. Like it's big bad Georgia. Why do they care? But I think when these teams look at film, they're going to see, Alabama's not really Alabama.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're
what's
vulnerable.
the issue? Why are we concerned about it?
Right. I think the only reason why they're the favorites, maybe something to do with the history, but probably because Tennessee's offense has been inept the last couple of weeks, and maybe they think that Alabama's going to have the defense to slow them down. But it's going to be interesting. I picked Tennessee before the season, and I'll hold off on making our pick until Thursday here on the show. But, yeah, I like Tennessee's chances, certainly. But you got Tennessee, Alabama. We just talked about Texas and Georgia. Huge. But I'm going to be also curious to see what LSU does on the follow-up after beating Ole Miss against a feisty Arkansas team that has played much better than I thought they would this year. Because now we look at LSU, they're back in the mix, and they are. But they could fall flat on Saturday.
Yeah, they can. LSU's a team that I can't get a grasp on, right? Defensively, I think they're awful, and then they not shut down Ole Miss, but they look pretty good against Ole Miss, right? Mm-hmm. Offensively, I don't have an issue with them. The offensive line has evolved to what I think we thought it would be, or at least somewhat thought it would be, because they looked awful against USC, and then suddenly now, they're halfway decent. Yeah, I love Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's done a great job, and in this situation, I'm just not buying Arkansas. I love Travis Williams as a defensive coordinator. He should be a head coach somewhere next year. But do they have enough to slow down what is a pretty diverse LSU offense? They're pretty balanced. I don't know, man. I'm starting to buy LSU maybe more than other people. And I know Tennessee fans probably don't like to hear this. I still am not convinced that Arkansas can even come close to winning any semblance of a shootout, because the only one they've been in, they collapsed, even though they doubled total yardage output.
Right.
Then I think LSU is probably more likely to put them in a situation like that.
Barrett, how good do you think BYU is?
Well, they've got dudes with AARP cards up front. And, anytime you get BYU or Utah State or Utah in a situation like that, because, the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, they go into your mission. So, it happens. That's when BYU always scares me. It's like, oh, God, they're going to be a nightmare for other teams. And they are this year. So I think they're pretty good. In the Big 12, without Oklahoma and Texas, it's kind of one of those conferences where nobody has a clue what's going to happen on any given day, but also before the season, we had no idea either. And I thought from the get-go, BYU is going to be okay because, again, they're experienced. And, in the Big 12, sort of conversation, yeah, they're probably the best team in the Big 12. But nationally, not even close. But it doesn't matter, right? If you're BYU and you make the playoff, isn't that good enough?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, I think so.
And I said this about Ole Miss, too. In the first year of a 12-team playoff, if you make it, that changes your trajectory immediately, no matter what happens in the playoff. So I think BYU's got a good shot. I think BYU is again, you're big up front for BYU. You're going to win a lot of games. That's exactly what's happening.
Well, because it's weird. Because this theoretically was supposed to be the really tough stretch of their schedule, but Oklahoma State this week. Oklahoma State is nowhere near what people thought they were going to be. Utah coming up in a couple of they got UCF and then they got Utah. And Utah certainly isn't anything of what people expected. And now Cam Rising's done officially for the year. Like, you look at their schedule, like it looks like they could. I mean, them and Iowa State look like on a clear collision course of that championship game.
Yeah, and honestly, I believe in BYU more than Iowa State. I love Rocco Beck. Anthony Beck's a friend of mine. So I really want the kid to be successful, and he has been. I don't think that he can get into a situation where he has to get out of his comfort zone and win.
Yeah.
And they really haven't been put in that situation. That's a credit to Iowa State. But, if it is, if you're right, it is a collision course of BYU and Iowa State. To me, BYU is just is too much on both sides of the ball.
Barrett Sallee joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest lines. We're just about out of time, but I want to go rapid fire with you, okay? This is the new USA Today Sports College Football Head Coaches Pay Survey, okay? I'm going to give you the amount of money that these coaches are making in the SEC. You tell me, again, it's all relative, but for coaching and for what they've done, over or under, they're either overpaid or underpaid, okay? And this also includes pay from the coaches' athletically related outside income reports.
Sure.
Kirby Smart, 13.2.
Exactly where he should be paid based on the market.
Steve Sarkisian, 10.6.
A little overpaid, but not a lot considering, they made the playoff.
Kalen DeBoer, $10 million.
Way overpaid. Way over. He hadn't done anything in the SEC.
Brian Kelly, 9.98, so just about 10.
Oh, he made an SEC championship game. He's been to a national championship game. He went to the playoff. Properly paid.
Mark Stoops, $9 million.
Overpaid.
Lane Kiffin, $9 million.
Oh, overpaid a little bit.
Elijah Drinkwitz, $9 million.
No, man. Overpaid, but a little bit, but not much.
A lot of money here. Josh Heupel, $9 million.
Oh, God. Overpaid.
Brent Venables, 8.15.
That way overpaid.
Billy Napier, 7.4.
Oh, based on the market value, yeah, he's overpaid.
Mike Elko, 7.
Underpaid because he's done a great job this year.
Hugh Freeze, 6.7.
Underpaid because, he's bad a couple of years, but that program it needs to pay more, and he deserves it based on
Sam Pittman, 6.5.
Just about right.
Shane Beamer, 6.4.
Just about right.
Jeff Levy, 4.25.
Oh God, jeez, just about right.
And I saved the best for last. Clark Lee, 3.2.
Oh, God, goodness gracious. You know where that goes.
I know exactly where that goes. Barrett, thank you for being flexible and joining us today. We'll do it again on Monday. Make sure to listen to the great podcast, the Smothered and Covered podcast from Barrett Sallee. He's also host on the SiriusXM College Radio Network and a columnist for Outkick. Follow him on Twitter at Barrett Sallee. Enjoy the game. Should be a great weekend.
Thanks, y'all. Sorry about Monday, but thanks for making some time for me.
No problem whatsoever. Thank you, Barrett.
How about the fact that lowest paid coaches have over $3 million?
I know. Isn't that sick?
Like,
that's why I said it's all relative. The money.
It's it wasn't that long ago where, when a coach, made $1 million, we're like, oh, my God.
I know.
And now it's the lowest paid coach in the conference is over $3 million.
There are there are 7 coaches that make $10 million or more. Kirby's number 1, by the way, at 13.2. 7 coaches. A couple of these coaches, you go, really? You wonder if, their job security is there. Lincoln Riley eventually at USC's got to get it done. Ryan Day's got to get it done at Ohio State. Mike Norvell, Florida State. They're all at $10 million. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama, $10 million.
It's good to be a coach. It's great to be a coordinator right now.
Good to be the king.
There's coordinators making $2.5, $3 million.
Right.
So it's great to be a coordinator. It's great to just be in the college coaching world. There's no doubt. They can all afford a Big Green Egg. I know that much. They can afford as many Big Green Eggs as they possibly could imagine. They could buy one of each size of the 7 different sizes of the Big Green Egg and every possible egg accessory there is. whether you're looking to sear, whether you're looking to smoke, whether you're looking to bake, whatever it is you're doing, the Big Green Egg makes it very easy to do. And again, with all the egg accessories, it makes it easy. Plus, they got their own rubs and sauces, which are absolutely fantastic, that you can buy and use as well. Check them out at the Ace Hardware stores in town or Hamilton Fireplace, or check them out online at biggreenegg.com.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Get ready for Genesis Diamond's largest ever sale of luxury premium wines. You can't miss this special 2-day event, October 25th and 26th. Turn sale will contain a range of special pricing, zero interest financing, and a stunning selection of luxury premium wines, timepieces, hundreds of Musk, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsi, highest model Rolex watches that you can't find anywhere else. Our luxury premium Rolexes are in pristine, light new condition, some just out of the box, and all priced to sell at this event. Purchase any luxury premium Rolex and visit at Genesis Diamond Stadium is approved. These are $3,000 value. Visit our Rolex and Rolex buyers with nothing off the top dollar for the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the stadium. Take advantage of special financing with a 32-carat lab-grown diamond stud range is free. 2026 only and only at Genesis Diamonds, Poplar and Perkins Extended.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes or special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway and the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises. Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour brought to you by
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2. We got some NFL, a lot of NFL, in fact, to talk about after a bunch of trades yesterday. We'll get back into the Grizzlies news with the Scottie Pippen Jr. signing. Also at 8:25, Jerry Palm from CBS Sports. Then in hour 3, more on the Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole. We'll talk Tigers. We'll revisit what we opened the show with, and that's, of course, the Hoops for St. Jude Tip-Off Classic from last night at FedEx Forum. Parth Upadhyay will join us from the Daily Memphian. Want to congratulate the class of 2024 going into the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame with the induction ceremony tonight over at the Convention Center. And our good friend Jarvis Greer, one of my partners on the Tigers football broadcasts. Jarvo, if you're listening, congratulations. Jarvis is going into the Hall of Fame. Other dignitaries like the late, great Reggie White, and, of course, Zach Randolph, Zebo from the Grizzlies, and many others deserving of this honor. It has not been in existence that long, this Hall of Fame, but it continues to gain momentum and steam and get bigger and bigger. I know our very own Dave Woloshin, I think Jeff Calkins, and I'm trying to remember who else hosts the ceremony, but certainly a great event. And again, congratulations to all.
Absolutely. Good for all of them, and Jarvo and Zebo and all the gang. Yeah, that's great. And that's that Memphis Sports Hall of Fame has been a great addition here locally to the sports scene.
It really has. There were 3 games last night in college football, none of them big-time games, but the fact that we've had now 2 straight weeks of Tuesday night games and Wednesday games, of course, Thursday and Friday games, the more college football, the better, in my opinion. Last night,
a couple of those games last night would not indicate the better.
No, there's not. It's not the best of
a 14-5 showing between Middle Tennessee and Kennesaw State. I don't think anybody needed to see that.
The Blue Raiders hit 4 home runs. What are you going to do, man? You can only do so much with the pitching staff of Kennesaw State. Yeah, Middle Tennessee State wins 14-5 over Kennesaw State. Middle Tennessee, coached by Derek Mason, the former Vanderbilt head coach. New Mexico State, that was a good one. Double overtime. They knock off Louisiana Tech by the score of 33-30. And South Alabama beats Troy 25-9. I want to give you an assignment, Elijah. I want you to add up the wins and losses of all the Memphis Tigers' opponents this year other than Navy, who they lost to. So the 5...
I can help you. Troy and Middle Tennessee have a combined 2.
But add the rest of them.
They're a combined 2 and 10.
So you got North Alabama, you got Troy, you got Middle Tennessee State, you got Florida State, and you got South Florida. Add them all up. It's going to be pathetic. Now, it takes nothing away from the Tigers. The Tigers are 5-1. You're only going to play who's in front of you, and you have no bearing on how that team's going to be this year. There was certainly no thought that Florida State would have the year that they're having when this game was scheduled between Ryan Silverfield and Mike Norvell. But Troy has been awful since John Summerall left, which was just this past year. He goes to Tulane. They haven't missed a beat, seemingly, with Willie Fritz leaving for Houston, and Troy is going down the crapper.
I could just find it's 5 plus North Alabama.
North Alabama may have 1 win, but I don't know.
They have 3, actually.
Do they? Okay, so that would be what then?
Well, they're playing FCS. I mean,
still, I didn't even think they were that good at an FCS team.
So that'd be 8 if they have 3, because that's the others have 5. Florida State, Troy, and Middle Tennessee each have 1, and South Florida has 2.
And so how many losses is that total? 8 wins and whatever it is losses. I mean, that is not good.
15, 18. How many losses North Alabama have?
They have 5.
23.
Yes, I think 23.
8-23. Wow. But this weekend, they get to play a team that's 5-1. It's a battle of 5-1 teams when they take on North Texas. All right, we'll take a break. And when we come back, as I mentioned, we'll open up hour number 2, talking a little NFL.
Genesis Diamonds, they've got a big event coming up next weekend. Not this weekend, but the following weekend, a big pre-owned Rolex event. If you are looking for a pre-owned Rolex watch, this is going to be the event to do it. If you're thinking about getting rid of maybe a Rolex, maybe you want to trade, well, you could do that as well. They will be buying, they will be selling, they will be trading, they will be doing it all at this huge Rolex event that they're going to have at Genesis Diamonds. Again, that's coming up not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. Something you're going to want to take advantage of. They got the state's biggest selection of the pre-owned Rolex watches, and this is one of the biggest special deals they've ever done on the pre-owned Rolex watches over at Genesis Diamonds. So get ready. Next weekend, pre-owned Rolex watch special going on. Genesis Diamonds, Poplar, and Perkins Extended.
This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
What a great time of year. Football, basketball, baseball, golf, and home sales. Home sales? This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors. And why did I throw in home sales at this time of year? Because I have sold homes on the day before Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and New Year's Day. Whether it's someone transferring in through a relocation network or someone just starting their home search, homes sell all year long, just like my golf game being bad, all year long. I may be called Mr. Three-Putt, but at least I'm consistent. If you or someone you know is thinking of selling, make sure and talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, but make sure I'm one of them. Find out how my highly successful strategic marketing program can get the winning score you need. Call me and find out why people often say when you want the job done, oh, Shell done. 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. Go for that goal and call me. Shell Dunn at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Grizz Nation, join John, Jaron, Dez, and your Memphis Grizzlies for opening night, Saturday, October 26th at 7 p.m. And the first 10,000 fans receive a Grizzlies Classic Edition reversible bucket hat. Get your tickets today by visiting Grizzlies.com or downloading the mobile app.
Traffic brought to you by 901 Eats to Go, 3135 Kirby Whitten Road in Bartlett. Pick up, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or online at 901eats.com. Eats with the Z. Good food fast.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Traffic's on the increase 40 east across Hernando de Soto Bridge coming over right now from West Memphis as you travel down I-40 going westbound. Coming in from Fayette County into Shelby County. It's moving at the moment all the way down to Sycamore View Road inbound on Sam Cooper. That's building quite a bit actually right when you come off the interstate. Weimer's Jewelry 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full service family owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Genuine diamonds, baby.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Finally had to bring a light jacket to work today. 39 degrees right now is the temperature in the metropolitan Memphis area. So if you're getting ready to leave the home, you may want to follow suit. Bring a little light jacket, sweater. It will warm up, but not real warm. 63 degrees. I think that's perfect weather. That's the high for today. Sunshine, and then tonight we're looking at about 39 degrees, 40 degrees, overnight low, clear skies once again, and sunshine for the foreseeable future. We welcome you back to the program. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, it's where family and fun come together. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. It's the Wednesday, October 16th, 2024 edition of the program. Hour 2 of the program, brought to you each and every day by the great folks at James Gaddis Jewelers. They are located at 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, and on the web at gaddisjewelers.com. They have the biggest selection of engagement rings in the entire Mid-South, the best prices on GIA certified diamonds to fit any budget. Holidays, they're fast or rapidly approaching, and it's the best time really to pop the question. A lot of people get engaged over the holidays. If you're looking for that special engagement ring, you need to head over to James Gaddis Jewelers. Family owned and operated for over 60 years in Memphis and almost 40 years at Poplar Avenue. They began at Summer Avenue. The jewelry specialists that they have are here to help navigate the scary waters of buying a diamond, taking that leap hand in hand. They are full-service jewelers. They got 2 bench jewelers ready to serve you. And all the diamonds are independently graded and certified because they do know there's a lot of competition out there, so they make sure they have a price point to suit everyone's budget. But it may not be an engagement ring you're looking for. It may be just another piece of fine jewelry like a watch or earrings or a pendant or a bracelet. Let them worry about your Christmas list this year. New jewelry collections coming in weekly. Make sure to follow them at Gaddis Jewelers on Instagram to hear about all the exciting things happening in the store this holiday season, including when they have special sales. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick, on the web at gaddisjewelers.com.
Let me when I was giving you those numbers, that was before last night's game, so it shorted Middle Tennessee State a win, but also shorted Troy a loss.
So 9-24, I think is what we come up with.
If you take Navy out, the Memphis opponents, the number of FBS wins they have is 3.
Yikes.
Because North Alabama obviously has none. Florida State has 1. Middle Tennessee State has 1. USF has 1.
Wow. I knew it was bad. That's worse than I thought. But again, you can only play who's in front of you on the
Middle
schedule.
Tennessee State is against Kennesaw State last night. Kennesaw State, I don't think is a full member yet of Division I.
They may not
I think
be.
they're still in their transition to Division I. So it's really 2.5. It's 2.5 FBS wins for Memphis opponents other than Navy.
Wow.
And one of Navy's wins is also against an FCS opponent. And then you got UAB and Temple, who are basically FCS opponents.
Yeah, if they judged it on the strength of your opponents.
I don't know what strength of schedule ranking right now, to this point. I guess Navy would help it enough, but yeah, it would not. Memphis is not very good.
Yeah, it'd be skewed a little bit because the Navy now ranked in the AP Top 25. All right, so yesterday was a sneaky good NFL day if you like movement, if you like transactions. We were on live when the Davante Adams trade was going down. It had not been made official, but you could pretty much tell it was official when you had Aaron Rodgers in his weekly visit on the McAfee show be joined over his shoulder by Davante Adams. So, yeah, that was a giveaway that the contracts were going to be signed, and they have been, and now Davante Adams joins the New York Jets. But not the only move that was made yesterday. I was talking about Josh Allen and about Josh Allen needing a receiver, needing a weapon. I think he has really good tight ends in Kincaid and Knox, but losing Stephon Diggs, that's left them with a void. Amari Cooper will fill that void. Buffalo does, pick him up from Cleveland, along with the 2025 6th-round pick for a 2025 3rd-round pick and a 7th-round pick in 2026.
It's a great pickup for Buffalo because they only have to pay Amari Cooper $1 million for the rest of this season. So it costs them nothing. And Cooper certainly still has plenty left in the tank. And certainly seeing the Jets go pick up Davante Adams, they wanted to make a response, and they go get one of the other good receivers that was on the market.
The Vikings, one of 2 undefeated teams, add to their offense. They pick up Cam Akers from the Texans in an exchange of 2026 conditional draft choices. Basically, the Texans said, Joe Mixon's back. He's healthy. We don't need Cam Akers. So Minnesota took him off their hands.
Well, not like Mixon's back healthy, and Damian Pierce is back healthy.
And Pierce, right.
And so they have – and Kevin O'Connell loves Cam Akers from his time that he had him with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
They traded for him last year during the season to pick him up. They want to add a little depth. Obviously, Aaron Jones is dealing with an injury right now. They don't know whether he will be ready for this week. Ty Chandler will be the starter, but they want a little depth at the running back position. Cam Akers, when he's been healthy, has been productive. He's just had the 2 torn Achilles in his career. It's just been an injury-riddled career in the NFL, but he certainly can be productive.
In other news from the NFL on Tuesday, Russell Wilson getting first-team reps for the Steelers. He is in line to start Sunday night when the Steelers take on the New York Football Jets. They're 4-2, by the way, with Justin Fields.
I thought all along that once Russell Wilson will be healthy, they'll figure out a way to start him.
And that's why Mike Tomlin never committed when asked about whether Justin Fields was his QB1. He never said he was. Also, speaking of quarterbacks, Tom Brady, I guess officially now he's done as a player. There's no chance that at 80 years old he's coming back. Tom Brady has been approved as a minority owner of the Raiders. And you know that he's going to demand excellence. Not the only former player that's part of that ownership group. Who else was announced yesterday?
Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour.
Richard Seymour is a
great poker player.
He has you talk about minority. He is minority. I think his is like less than 1%.
Oh, it is really. Tom's got 5 or 10. Which
He's
was
got
a little
5.
Okay.
There were two different. He and the other guy got around 5% each, and then Seymour is a very minuscule little amount.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So Brady stays in the broadcast booth. Obviously, it officially, there's a wink of the eye, ends his playing career. But it's still a little weird dynamic of him being an owner, even though a minority owner, and still a broadcaster, especially if they put him on any Raiders games. I don't know if that's now outlawed. But Tom Brady, he will demand excellence, and I'm sure he'll be a good part of that ownership group. Speaking of ownership groups, as I segue to Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones, who has turned the Cowboys organization, once he purchased them, into one of, if not the most popular professional sports teams in the entire world and one of the most lucrative. Also a guy who can't get out of his own way at times and has that weekly radio hit. And yesterday he came out and he apologized for his defensive reaction this week when he did his weekly appearance. He was very combative and basically apologized for that. But look, he's made his bed. He's decided to be out there in the front, in the public's eye, doing these interviews, committing to a weekly interview. And you have to take the bad with the good. When it's not going well, you still got to, if that's your commitment.
Yeah, I mean, he does multiple hits. I mean, it's their flagship station. He didn't like their questioning of all the off-season stuff, which it is what it is. It was a terrible off-season. He probably knows that.
Yeah, but that's what good hosts do, right? They ask the tough questions.
It was no need to get as defensive as he did, but I also think probably a little too much was made of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
the Cowboys.
That's what we do.
It's the
that's
Cowboys.
What people do.
It is Jerry Jones. And there's one thing ESPN loves to do. It's talk about the Cowboys.
Or make fun of the Cowboys in the case of Stephen A. Smith. That's all he does.
I don't listen to him, so I don't know what he does.
That's what he does, I'm telling you. All right, so that's a look at the NFL. Week 7 begins on Thursday. Broncos at the Saints. So tomorrow night, we'll have that game for you right here on Sports 56, 98.5 FM, beginning with the pregame at 7 o'clock. All right, let's circle back to what we opened the show with, and that was basketball. The Hoops for St. Jude Tip-Off Classic, and we talk Grizzlies as well. Jerry Palm will join us at 8:25 to get back to college football. If you happened to be at the game last night, love to know what your reaction was to the whole atmosphere and to the Tigers' performance. The men losing 84-76, the women getting thumped by South Carolina. But again, it's South Carolina. Memphis was down some players, 106-63. Were you there? 360-8255 on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. You can call in or text it. Like I said, it was a really nice atmosphere. The crowd was okay. It wasn't fantastic, but the people that were there were into it. It was very strange to have this kind of quasi-Grizzlies/Tigers production with St. Jude mixed in there, right? Because they were the beneficiary. So you had all kinds of different things going on. And we had, like you said, the Grizz girls were out there, and the wrong music was playing. We had the Grizz DJ up there, but we had the Memphis band that was sitting there that I don't know was playing, and their cheerleaders. It was kind of weird. It was like a lot of things shoved in for the entertainment of the people. But the games...
It was basically, in a lot of ways, it was like
a free-for-all.
It was like a tournament game. It was like a conference tournament game or whatever.
No, it felt more like...
Some teams bring their bands and cheerleaders, others don't. Like, that's kind of what it was.
No, it felt more like a Grizzlies game. It felt more like a Grizzlies production. You know,
it was a Grizzlies
I was waiting
production.
for the grandmas and the Grizzly grandmas
I mean,
and
it was
grandpas.
a Grizzlies production.
I don't know if that should be what it should be moving forward. But again, it's their arena basically. They run the show. I mean, they did a good job. It was a little strange. It didn't feel college. It didn't feel NBA. It felt like somewhere in the middle. But as far as the game itself, that's what stole the show. It was a really competitive, physical game that was an exhibition game. And after the game, even though there was some, they were getting in each other's face a little bit and got a little chippy there. I mean, there was hugs all around, especially the respect that Coach Hardaway, Coach Davis have for each other, and talked glowingly after all of these coaches, all four of the coaches, about what it meant for their teams and them personally to be associated with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and visiting the hospital. And that's a win-win for everybody. But I think from a promotional standpoint, if they secure these games for the future to start pumping this stuff out and promoting it really, really early, I think it has a chance to be extremely successful. But I know the ticket sales weren't the best. They picked up. The lower bowl, as you said, whatever the case was, whether some people came down, I don't know. It was really packed, to be honest with you, on the lower. Now, upstairs, certainly it wasn't. But in a regular college arena that seats 9,000 or 10,000, it looked pretty darn good. In a cavernous NBA arena, not so much. But again, this wasn't announced that long ago. And it wasn't like it was a blitzkrieg of promotions, right? They're not going to spend all kinds of money when they're trying to make money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So I thought, all in all, it was a great night. And again, the Tiger performance was pretty good. There are things that they did well and a number of things that they struggled with that they're going to have to get better. And we went through that whole list, hour one. You could always listen later on to our podcast. Check out the first hour. I'm not going to regurgitate everything I said about the Tigers. And then for the women, again, they have Dawn Staley and the defending national champions in town. I mean, Alex Simmons, with her connections, certainly to be able to bring them in, to help bring them in, that was great. Even though Memphis, again, got beat up, most teams are going to get beat up by South Carolina. And for Memphis, they were down a couple of players, including their star transfer, Dee Hageman, who comes from Michigan State, who was second team All Big Ten. I think she's going to help out a little bit. So, great night as far as that's concerned. And then from the NBA, we talked about the Grizzlies signing Scottie Pippen Jr. No surprise. They didn't have to do it immediately, but they had to make a roster move, that 14th roster move, within a couple of weeks of the start of the season. They decided that Scottie would get the deal, and I think he deserves it. I think he earned it. Now the question is who will be the player that they add to the two-way, because that leaves a two-way opening to go with Jay Huff and Cam Spencer. And I think Yuki Kawamura will be the best candidate. First of all, he's a point guard to replace Scottie, but he's got so many followers on social media. He's a popular guy, and if he wants to stay and not go back to Japan, like you said, Eli, make more money, it makes sense to bring him in. And with that 15th roster spot, they don't have to do anything right now.
Raider Corey texts in. He says, my takeaways from the exhibitions last night. Number one, Seth Trimble is a baller.
Oh, boy.
Number two, P.J. Haggerty can average over 20 points per game easy. Number three, Tiger turnovers must be corrected. Number four, Lady Tigers will be a competitive team on most nights. And number five, Lady Gamecocks will win the championship again. Shout out to Tiger fans in St. Jude. Very impressive attendance, especially the lower bowl section. Nice seeing some of the local dignitaries in the house. Matt texts in. He says, I got to watch a little bit on TV, listen most of it on the radio. It sounded like there were a lot of people there, and the atmosphere was pretty great. Yeah, again, I think just, especially when you're considering exhibition game for just the the noise factor, everything else, the fans. You know, I mean, you had battling fans. Like the Tar Heel fans were doing their Tar Heel chant, and the Memphis fans would respond to that and start booing. It made it a fun little atmosphere to have that many North Carolina fans there. And so, yeah, it ended up being a really cool atmosphere overall.
Hey, I saw some South Carolina sweatshirts.
Oh, there were a lot of South Carolina fans
right,
there,
to support the Gamecocks. Do you remember about the time that this was announced?
I don't remember exactly when it was.
Was it 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago at most? I mean, time flies by, and sometimes I think it was a month ago and it was 5 months ago, but it doesn't seem like it's been long. And to have the crowd that they had, again, you had one guy buy 1,000 tickets. It doesn't matter who. I don't care if it's two people that buys 10,000 tickets. The fact is that it wasn't a lot of time to get this game done or games done this night. And I thought they did a really good job. So if it's coming back, and we think it is, for next year, you have the whole year to promote it. You have the whole year to get ready because people now know what it's all about. And again, on national TV, those who watched it on television on ESPNU, I'm sure it looked great. I'm sure that people around the country who tuned in to get a little fix of college basketball, albeit an exhibition, enjoyed what they were seeing.
Another texter, Steve, says the Tigers looked very good. I'd say very athletic. We need more in the paint. Hopefully, Cisse will complete the team going forward.
Well, Cisse will bring some defensive presence. They were getting burned on the pick and roll. Don't expect too much offensively, although he has a little bit more of an outside range. I mean, when he started, he was just a dunk guy. He's not a great shooter, but he's got about. I watched him in the pro day practice shooting 10-footers, 12-footers, knocking down some of those. But again, if you're depending on him for the outside shooting, you're in trouble. They're lacking the outside shooting. They're going to need a big year from Colby Rogers, who's capable. And then, yes, scoring in the paint with the bigs. Dane Danger did not look great last night. And Coach Hardaway even acknowledged that. He is going to be a very important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's, again, I mean, and he can't be that bad at the free throw line. Cisse is also bad at the free throw line. They're going to need they need a big who can maybe knock down a free throw here or there. Keith is dialed in on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. Hi, Keith.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to learn to squeeze that orange a little bit better. I mean, but, I was very impressed. I think on the turnovers that they had, they almost made up on block shots. I mean, it was amazing that they were able to stay with those bigs down low and block their shots the way they were and rebound. And then the little point guard did good. He seems like an outstanding player.
Hunter, great athlete.
And we had great open looks on shooting outside, but we don't have great shooters, I don't think.
Never have great shooters. You're right. 5 of 23 from the outside, but they were good looks. And Penny did talk about
wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open.
Penny was talking about the ball distribution in the first half. There was more rapid movement. Therefore, they were able to get to the hole at times. And he said in the second half, they got away from that. So he was not happy with the pace of play in the second half.
Yeah, the defense, I think, and even the announcers on ESPNU said, Memphis pretty much controlled the pace with defense in the first half, and they let it get away from them in the second half.
Absolutely. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate the phone call. Hope everybody enjoyed the game. We'll take a timeout, and when we come back, JP will join us, Jerry Palm, as we get back into college football. But basketball, and if you want to become a better basketball shooter, an overall better basketball player, then I got the place for you. It's Shoot 360 Memphis, a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. They have 2 locations in Collierville and now the new location in Cordova. If you have not been there and you're a basketball player or have a basketball player or players in your family or a coach of a team, you really need to check them out. At least go visit them and take a tour and see what they're all about. And if you want to become a member, now they do it on a monthly basis. So you're not bogged down with some long-term commitment. If you want more information, you want to set up a tour, give them a call. In Cordova, at that new 50,000 square foot facility, 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. Or in Collierville, 901-316-5500. You can go right online and sign up today at Shoot 360 Memphis. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis. When we come back, it's Jerry Palm. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Cooper Young Beer Fest is back for the 14th year, featuring more than 30 craft breweries. Be at 795 South Cooper this Saturday from 1 to 5 to learn all about and to taste the best beers in the Mid-South. Plus, there'll be music from Goner Records and food trucks for when you're hungry. Tickets are just $60 at cybeerfest.org. All proceeds benefit the Cooper Young Community Association. Come rain or come shine, come to the Cooper Young Beer Fest this Saturday, 1 to 5 in the parking lot of Midtown Auto Works.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes. Or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger-buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
In Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and clean quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Branch. Jason's Deli, it's wholesome food and no surprises. Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Still has some heavy traffic volume over here on 40 westbound from Germantown Parkway all the way to Sycamore View Road. We've had a couple of problems down through there a little bit earlier. It's starting to load up a little bit more volume now on Billmore's Parkway 385 as you come past Riverdale all the way to 240. As you come past Mount Moriah, traffic still looks pretty good right now from the south on 55 northbound all the way up to Brooks and Elvis Presley. Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64, is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to
Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Diamonds are forever.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 8:29 is the time. Coming up in hour number 3, DeMichael Cole will join us to talk Grizzlies, followed by Parth Upajai on the Memphis Tigers. But right now, it's time to talk some college football with JP, Jerry Palm.
It's time for Sports 56 Mornings Weekly Chat with Jerry Palm, college football and basketball writer and bracketologist for CBSSports.com. Here are Greg, Eli, and Jerry.
He is Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. You can follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS. Listen to him every Wednesday with us all throughout the college football and basketball season. Hey, JP, how are you?
All right, how are you?
I'm good. I feel bad for your Boilermakers. I thought they had them. Come on now.
That was something. The first half looks like it's going to be just another blowout. But the second half, they get an offensive touchdown, and one play later, a defensive touchdown, recover an onside kick, and all of a sudden they've got some momentum going. I think Illinois thought they were going to roll in the second half too, and all of a sudden they weren't, and it ended up being a wild game. It's too bad for Purdue because they're not going to have a lot of opportunities, as we've seen this season, to be able to get a win like that. And so I don't, Walters went for 2 in the overtime, and I agree with that decision. Let's get this done and get out of here, because by the time you get to that point in the game and there's that many points on the board, both those teams are pretty gassed.
Yeah, I didn't see any of the game. I just saw the score, and the first thing I thought of course, was you. But I'm like, wow. I mean, it just goes to show you, even teams that are struggling, all of a sudden, any Saturday, and it's not. It might be a cliche, but it's certainly a reality that anything can happen, and that's what we've been seeing.
Purdue had scored, counting the first half of that game, 47 points total in 4.5 games against FBS teams, and then 46 after halftime against Illinois.
Gosh, things are.
Yeah, well,
turning
Oregon's
your way
this week, so
I was looking at your. If I'm not mistaken, before this past weekend, you had said that you thought Oregon would beat Ohio State this past weekend and then lose to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And that's why you still have Ohio State winning the Big Ten.
Right.
Who do you have playing Texas in the SEC championship game?
That's a good question. I think I have Alabama in that game. 'Cause I don't think Tennessee's going to get there. Georgia's going to get a second loss. If Alabama wins out, I'm pretty sure it's them, and Texas is going to beat A&M. So really, it's one of those two in my standings. I have Alabama and A&M with one loss and don't play each other. So then it just comes down to whatever the tiebreakers are.
So you obviously have Alabama winning at Tennessee this week.
Yes, yeah, but that's always been the projection. Tennessee losing to Alabama and Georgia. I've always felt like they had to beat one of those teams if they were going to make the playoff, and now with the loss. Mississippi State,
Vanderbilt.
Tennessee lost to Vanderbilt.
Oh no! Who Tennessee lost to? Tennessee lost to
Arkansas.
Arkansas,
right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Arkansas. With that loss to Arkansas, now, that makes it even more imperative that they win one of those 2 games, because if they lose them both, they're 9-3, and 9-3 is probably not going to get it done this year.
So with the Alabama-Tennessee game, obviously the loser will have 2 losses already. Yep. Do you think they're both still in play with 2 losses?
I would not count on 2 losses. I mean, yeah, you could get there, but now you're talking about probably a significant tiebreaker there, as opposed to the one I just described with the 2 teams that don't play each other. If you get down to having a 2-loss team, and then you might have 3 or 4 teams in the tiebreaker, and then a lot can. Who knows what's going to happen then?
If you do have a 2-loss team in the conference championship game and they take that third loss, how do you think the committee will kind of compare that to the 2-loss teams that don't play in a championship game?
I think that the committee has always been pretty forgiving of a underdog losing a conference championship game. So there's a big difference between 10-3 and 9-3. I don't think the difference between 10-2 and 10-3 with that third loss coming in a championship game is as significant.
So the big game this weekend in Austin with Georgia taking on Texas. If Texas wins, then we're probably, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but most people would think that Texas is the best team in the country at this point. But if they lose to Georgia, who do you think the best team is?
Oregon.
See, that's the thing.
Unless Purdue brings out that Spoilermaker vibe this Friday.
But like you said, they want you picked Oregon to win, right? Because it was at Oregon. Yeah. But you think if they play again in the Big Ten championship, Ohio State will win. So,
right.
Again, you're thinking long term. You're thinking Ohio State's better than Oregon,
right? Well, I think that they're even, but Ohio State gets the edge because the champion gets a bye.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, on a neutral field, or
yes, on a neutral field, I like Ohio State.
You like Ohio State, okay?
Yeah. So I guess Ohio State, but I don't think there's a clear number one now.
Mm-hmm, right.
If Georgia wins this game, there isn't a clear number one anymore.
Absolutely. Now,
it could still be Texas, but I don't think there's a clear number one at that point.
Exactly. But Georgia goes on the road at Austin and wins that game. Then you start to question Texas a little bit. But how many teams right now do you think legitimately? I know once you get into the playoff, anything can happen. But how many teams do you think legitimately have a chance to win it all? And who are those teams?
Oregon, Ohio State,
okay.
Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Miami, maybe. It's a short list.
Do you think Clemson or Notre Dame, even though Clemson got killed by Georgia, Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois?
I think Notre Dame. I'm not even sure Notre Dame's going to make the playoff. That Georgia, Clemson's played very well since that Georgia game. But that Georgia game still, lives in my mind as something that I don't know that Clemson can win. What would if they win the ACC, they knock out Miami, they win the ACC, and they get a bye, then maybe. But I just think that they're a tier below, if you were to do them in tiers, a tier below the teams I just talked about.
Yeah, say in yours right now, you have the rematch with Georgia Clemson in that first round. You mentioned Notre Dame, and I was going to ask you about Notre Dame because you don't have them in right now. So I assume that means you have them losing another game.
At USC.
Okay, you have them losing at USC. I was wondering if it's going to be the Army or the Navy game with those two being undefeated. I don't know if you had them losing to one of those
that's
two.
Funny because Notre Dame, I don't know. Notre Dame used to have something like a 95-year winning streak against Notre Dame, some ungodly number, and then Navy knocked them off, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so ago. Now they're starting another one. But, yeah, Navy doesn't really seem to have much luck with Notre Dame, and I can't imagine Army would either.
So if right now Boise State has the one loss against Oregon, and they're in front of unbeaten group of five schools like Army and Navy, if Boise loses a second game and Army, Navy, one of those two wins the conference championship and their only loss is to Notre Dame, do you think they're ahead of Boise?
I would say it depends on who they lose to and when that loss comes. If they lose in their conference championship game, they're definitely then they're not even in play for the playoff. Well, they're still in play.
Yeah, I'm talking about,
but only as an at-large. One loss Army or Navy American champion is ahead of them just by virtue of being a conference champion.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming Boise's a champion here. But Boise loses either to UNLV, the most likely, and really it's not real likely, but UNLV during the regular season or Oregon State at the end of the regular season. They lose one of those two games, but they either win the rematch against UNLV, assuming that those two play in the Mountain West Championship. They're the champions, but they only have that loss and then the loss to Oregon earlier in the year. That's 2. But Army, Navy, again, whoever wins runs the table in the conference, beats the team in the championship game, but lost to Navy or lost to Notre Dame during the regular season. So they would have one loss as a conference champion, but undefeated in their conference. Boise would have 2 losses as a conference champion, but one of those losses to Oregon. So, and Boise's got a Heisman candidate. Do you think they would still be voted?
The committee doesn't care about Heisman.
I know. I'm just laying it out for our listeners. Who do you think would be the pick by the selection committee?
I would guess probably Boise State. Probably, especially if the loss is to UNLV. Oregon State, I don't know about that. I don't think that's as nearly as good a loss. But if they lose to UNLV and then beat them again, in the championship game, avenge that loss, I'd say Boise State. I just don't know where the quality wins are coming for Army and Navy. They don't have even a loss. Like Army would have to be really competitive with or Navy, either one. It's the same scenario. Would have to be really competitive with Notre Dame. They can't get run out of the building. They'd have to show, the kind of a performance that Boise State had against Oregon. But even still, Oregon is better than Notre Dame. So it's not just as simple as win or lose.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be how do they look. But I don't know, Boise looks pretty good.
They do.
Well, Boise, it would. The thing, the Army-Navy thing, it could just end up backfiring on everybody's face if whichever one, say one of them wins the conference, they pick them for the playoff, and then they lose the next week after they've been selected for the playoff to the other one.
What are you going to do? The decision has to be made before that.
Game after the stuff is selected. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah. Well, that's. I don't think the committee's going to take that into consideration that somebody could lose, but that's just
the thing is,
the nature of the thing.
It's one of, other than Notre Dame, the best opponent they would have on their schedule, they will have not yet played when the committee is making their selection.
Well, that's not necessarily true because they could meet in the conference championship game.
Well, yeah, yes, as far, but their resume, a big part of a big help in their resume, their 12th regular season game will not have been played yet.
Yeah, that's true. It is a good team, although it's funny because they could play each other for the conference championship and then play their regular season game against each other the next week. It's just weird.
The whole history, like the pomp and circumstance, a lot of that of college football, a lot of it is out the window with all the teams moving around like they have. The Rose Bowl is not the Rose Bowl like we know it from back with Keith Jackson doing the broadcast. And things have changed. I don't understand why they can't change when they play the Army-Navy game. Also, the whole Notre Dame thing is drives me crazy every year that they are the exception to the rules. I would love to see uniformity, which we never have and probably never will. But when you keep having teams that are outliers, it kind of messes things up. It's really a bad look for the American Conference, to be honest with you, to have brought in Army and not play that Army-Navy game as a conference game. And also, first of all, given the schedule they gave them, they basically gave them a ticket to the championship game in their first year. But anyway, that sounds like a disgruntled Memphis broadcaster right there.
Well, you're never going to get Army and Navy to do away with their tradition. You're just not. It's bigger than the football game. It's just not going to happen.
They just can't move it 1 week earlier?
They won't. I'm telling you they won't.
Well, they'd have to go 2 weeks.
They'd have to go 2 weeks. That's right, because of the championship game. All right, real quick before we let you go here, the talks that the SEC and the Big Ten have had, now the latest has been about possibly an alliance with scheduling.
Right.
What do you think that will look like, and what will that do you believe, as far as moving towards a complete breakaway of those two conferences?
Well, I think the scheduling alliance probably looks like one non-conference game every year, for all of the SEC teams against the Big Ten team, and the Big Ten, because it's bigger, would have to rotate a couple in and out. But that's what I think it looks like, is that you've got a non-conference game, at least one non-conference game on everybody's schedule between the conferences, and those are going to be the games that are more attractive to the TV people, even for the lower teams. They'll still be more attractive than the Big Ten playing someone in the MAC, which almost every team, it seems like, plays someone in the MAC.
Right.
It's and that's a good relationship that the leagues have had for a long time. But it's still, I just think that it also is a strength of schedule thing for the better teams, and they're going to try and create good matchups. So, but I think it's largely a TV move. But also, you kind of freeze out others if you're only playing each other.
Yes.
You
not
so
only
there's that as well. So
Right.
it's also a power move.
It's a power move. You freeze out teams. But here's the other thing, too. You can actually do some if everything stays status quo, which it probably won't, and you have what you have in college football right now, and the 12-team playoff may increase, it may not. But don't you put your conferences in more of a danger zone, because now they could absorb another loss by playing a tough opponent from a power conference that is of their ilk. In other words, you go through the gauntlet of your conference, and now you're playing that Big Ten team, or you're playing that SEC team, whichever view you're looking at, and you pick up that third or fourth loss, and it takes you out of the mix for a playoff spot.
Well, I suppose if it's your fourth loss, for sure. If it's your third loss, the committee, they look at strength of schedule. Well, this is a strength of schedule play.
Okay.
So I think in the end, it could help those teams, but it might help. I don't think it's going to help the teams that are going to be, buys, but it's going to help the teams that might be fringe, like bubble teams, if you will. Then it might help teams like that to have played a better opponent. Obviously, you've got to get enough wins to get their attention, but
Sure.
If that game is a loss, but you still have a good enough record, well, that could be, and you might have one more loss in your cushion than other teams do.
Yeah, it allows you to make the argument against like an ACC or Big 12 of we've got 3, but they've got 2, or we've got 2, they've got 1, but look at our schedule versus their schedule.
What would really make me happy is to see that game replace any FCS games that either of those leagues are playing. I don't think the Big Ten plays very many, and the SEC, I think they almost all do. But I would rather see a game like that replace the FCS game, which then is an actual strength of schedule play.
Yes, I agree. No question about it. He is Jerry Palm. Make sure to check out his bowl projections, his playoff projections at CBSSports.com. Follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS, and listen to him every Wednesday right here with us on Sports 56 Mornings. Have a great week, JP. We'll talk to you next Wednesday.
All right, thanks.
Take care. I don't know. I still think it. See, the playoffs, they're going to go up to 14 or 16. So there's going to be more spots, and I don't think it'll do the damage. But if you stay at 12, again, you're sitting there, you got 2 losses, and then all of a sudden, it may look good to the committee, but then they go, well, yeah, but you have 3 losses, and Florida State has 2, and it may come down to the numbers game.
And yes, it's certainly for the Big Ten, it's a little different right now because they already played 9 conference games.
Right.
The SEC, which I think they'll go to 9 conference games, but you're talking then 10 games against either SEC or Big Ten opponents. It's a pretty tough schedule. And certainly you bring in that idea. But their conferences are already going to be guaranteed a certain amount of spots anyway. So, so it's like if
that happens,
it can kind of help them again. So the next ones after that, it helps make the argument. If you've got 3 losses, but the Big 12 or ACC team has 2, you're like, well, look at what we do. Like we've got 10 games. And we've played out of those 10 games, we played 7 teams that are in the playoffs automatically.
No.
And so what are we supposed to do?
I understand, but that is definitely freezing out those other two power conferences. That's the road they're going down. All right, we'll take a timeout, come back. I want to get back into this this coaching story and the USA Today, which released all the figures of all the coaches in FBS and who they project by looking at the amount of money they're making and the win totals, who are the 5 most overpaid coaches today in college football. We'll give you that list when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't do another Halloween spot for Central Barbecue.
But it's October. Doing a Halloween spot for Central Barbecue is a tradition.
But it doesn't make it a good thing.
Nothing else happens in October.
Baseball?
Not if you're a Cardinals fan. What else you got?
National Candy Corn Day.
No Central Barbecue connection.
Fair point. How about Make a Difference Day?
That's to encourage people to do something constructive for the world.
And going to Central Barbecue isn't?
I'm telling you, it's got to be Halloween.
There's no other choice, I guess.
Hey, Zeke.
Yeah?
This year, give the kiddies ribs on Halloween. They love that.
Seriously, next year, something new.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a Mother Pheasant Plucker, I plug Mother Pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Did you know the PayPal debit card now earns you 5% cash back in the monthly category of your choosing? Groceries, restaurants, health, beauty, gas, and apparel on up to $1,000 of monthly purchases. I'm using my PayPal debit card to earn 5% cash back on apparel. With my travel schedule, I'm buying clothes online all the time. Sign up for the PayPal debit card through the new app.
Terms apply. See PayPal app. This card is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A., pursuant to license by MasterCard International, Inc.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
We've been talking about the coaches' salaries. Again, a list that was released, the annual list from USA Today Sports. Based on USA Today Sports annual coaches' compensation data, the 5 most overpaid coaches are, now they're taking into consideration, again, what they get paid and the success or lack thereof of their teams. Mike Norvell, despite the year they had last year, $10 million, Mike Norvell, one of the 5 most overpaid coaches. Hugh Freeze, we got a little theme going. Friend of the show, Mike Norvell, friend of the show. Hugh Freeze, Auburn, $6.73 million, one of the 5 most overpaid coaches. I don't believe we've ever had Billy Napier on. $7.4 million, Billy Napier on that list. Luke Fickell, $7.725 million, the former Ohio State coach, now the coach at Wisconsin, one of the 5 most overpaid coaches. And this one is interesting. Trent Dilfer at $1.45 million, still considered on this list to be one of the 5 most overpaid coaches.
Well, I mean, he's coaching a team that is horrendous.
Right, but he's not making $10 million a year. I would think there'd be a few other coaches on that list, but Dilfer on that list. So there you go, 2 of them from the SEC in Hugh Freeze and Billy Napier. Hugh Freeze isn't going anywhere. We'll see about Billy Napier. Billy Napier, if they could have pulled out that dub last week, they could have went a long way in securing that he would stay at least another season in Gainesville. But not sure if they've already made up their mind. We'll see what happens. Let the season play out. But they've gotten a little bit better over the last few weeks. This Saturday, it's Memphis and North Texas, 6:30 kickoff from Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. The Tigers go for bowl eligibility as they are 5-1, as does North Texas at 5-1. It's also Wrestling Day, Eli. It is back.
Always love wrestling, day, night, anywhere we could throw wrestlers in a ring in Memphis. It's always fun.
I wonder what Ed Scott thinks about the old wrestling, as it'll be his first wrestling game. The action will begin on Tiger Lane at 5, right near the fountain. 3 matches, plus a meet and greet.
They should do a fountain match. Wrestle in the fountain.
That's a good idea. Jerry Lawler will be there.
Maybe somebody will get thrown in the fountain.
Is the King still wrestling? The King has gone through so many situations with his health and he just, it's great that Jerry's able to, to bounce back the way he has. I mean, he's certainly an ambassador for the city because of his notoriety, not only nationally but around the world. Continues to live here, and Lawler will be there. Jimmy Hart, the mouth of the South, he'll be there. Doug Gilbert, Tommy Rich. Is it Downtown Bruno or Downton Bruno? I'm not sure if this is a mistake or spelling mistake or it's Downton. Never heard of him. Spellbinder. He's your favorite, right, Eli? Reggie B. Fine. American Gladiator. Russian Wrecking Ball. Is that a thing or an actual wrestler? But anyway, that will all be taking place.
I think that's what was.
Saturday.
I think they used him to knock down part of the stadium.
The Russian Wrecking Ball.
I think that's how they got rid of that section.
And this is fantastic. This was announced days ago. Memphis Athletics will have a partnership with the D'Angelo Williams Foundation in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month this October. Obviously, we're in it. For every ticket sold to Saturday's game against North Texas, $5 will be donated to the foundation to purchase mammograms for Memphians. That is extremely important. That is a great gesture on the part of the university, and certainly with D'Angelo Williams, friend of the show. We love the guy, and his mom, Sandra, was great. I mean, she was just so fun to talk to before games, after games, and just so proud of what D'Angelo has become. And, having lost her early, I'm sure that's affected D'Angelo in a lot of ways. And to be able to take some of these proceeds to help other women around this community with mammograms is extremely important. So think about that when you're thinking about whether or not to purchase a ticket to go see the 5-1 Tigers on Saturday against North Texas.
Gonna have some pink towels. Gotta love a pink towel.
Love a pink towel.
Love a pink towel.
Remember when guys, it was just like, guys, you don't want to wear pink back in the day. Things have changed.
Fleet Feet is the place to go to get all your running gear, folks. Head on over to see either of the two locations of Fleet Feet, either in East Memphis in the Laurelwood Shopping Center or in Collierville, Poplar, Houston Levy next to Huey's. They'll take a look at the way you run or walk and fit you with shoes that are just right for you, plus everything else that you need. They've got you taken care of over at Fleet Feet. We're a couple of months away from the St. Jude Marathon here in town. A lot of folks will be running that. You need to get that gear, go see the folks at Fleet Feet. Again, Laurelwood Shopping Center in East Memphis, Collierville, Poplar, and Houston Levy. Online, fleetfeetmemphis.com. They're also on social media, keeping up to date with things they've got going on at Fleet Feet.
The two biggest sports stories yesterday locally, the Hoops for St. Jude Tip-Off Classic and the Grizzlies announcing that they had signed Scottie Pippen Jr. to a multi-year deal. We will talk about both of those subjects in hour number 3. We will open up talking Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole and then talking Tigers with Parth Upadhyay. DeMichael from the Commercial Appeal, Parth from the Daily Memphian. It's coming up in hour 3. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Chandler Martin, linebacker for the University of Memphis football. You need cash? Refinance your auto loan with Southern Security and have no payment for 60 days. Southern Security will finance up to 115% of the current value of your vehicle for up to 72 months. To find out how to put more cash in your pocket, call our member service team at 901-452-7900 or apply on our website, southernsecurity.org. Southern Security is a proud supporter of University of Memphis Athletics. Southern Security, your home team credit union. Federally insured by the NCUA.
The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one at Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month still going strong, and LifeLock's here with a message about phishing. That's phishing with a PH. The scams cyber criminals use to trick victims into allowing access to their devices so they can steal their personal info. Being aware of potential phishing scams is one way to help protect your personal information. Because phishing scams are getting harder and harder to spot on your own, that's where LifeLock can really help. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft issues that arise guaranteed. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second and detects and alerts you to a wide range of threats well beyond what you and I can see on our own. If your identity is stolen, your dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialists will work to fix it, guaranteed or money back. Plus, you're backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Plan with up to $3 million in coverage. Start protecting your identity today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Promo code HERD, H-E-R-D, terms apply.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft beers, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Then do Friday night lights from 7 to close. Dine in and buy 12 wings and get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekend. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Highway 70, Falls Football.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Wrapping up a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. It remains a little bit heavy coming down I-40 westbound at times from Germantown Parkway all the way to Sycamore View Road. There's still some volume arriving here in the Midtown area on 240 north at Lamar. It's still moving right now, 40 east across the Hernando de Soto Bridge as that traffic continues to flow in there from West Memphis. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. Go by and see them today at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis.
The mercury is rising. We're up to 45 degrees. 63 for a high today. That's it. Sunshine. Should be a nice day. Tonight, overnight low of 40 with clear skies. And then for your Thursday, about 67 degrees. Carbon copy of what we got today. And sunshine. In fact, sunshine for the foreseeable future. We welcome you back to the program. Hour 3 of the show on this Wednesday, October 16th, 2024. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers. We're broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Coming up in just a moment, we'll talk Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole. Then at about 9:25, Parthu Pajai will join us to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. Jenkins Floors and More is our number 3 sponsor. 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, Mississippi. A hop, skip, and a jump from anywhere in the metropolitan Memphis area. They have stores also in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock, Arkansas. If you are looking for flooring and carpeting and you want a great price, and they sell it wholesale, you're going to get a great price, then think Jenkins Floors and More. If you want great service, you absolutely better think Jenkins Floors and More. They will install and do so with an unheard of 2-week turnaround. So they'll do the job for you. They'll come to you, give you a free estimate no matter where you are. Just give them a call and set that up. But also, if you do it yourself, discounted prices, why not? It makes sense to go to Jenkins Floors and More, both residential and commercial. So homeowners who do it yourself and contractors, it makes sense to head down to Jenkins Floors and More at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake, Mississippi. They're open Monday through Saturday. You can call them at 662-469-9350. Great family, great service, Jenkins Floors and More. Time now to talk some Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole.
It's time to talk some Grizzlies basketball. Joining Greg and Eli is DeMichael Cole, Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. Here's DeMichael with Greg and Eli.
He is DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal, the terrific Grizzlies beat writer. You can follow him on Twitter at DeMichaelC and listen to him every Wednesday all year long, talking with us here on Sports 56 Mornings. How are you?
What's going on, guys? How we doing?
Doing good. Not a surprise with yesterday's news. They had a couple of weeks. They could have waited, but I think we all were in agreement that more than likely that was the direction they were going to go in, and that's give Scottie Pippen Jr. a contract.
Yeah, it was definitely the time was ticking in order for them to make a decision there. But yeah, not a surprise at all. Major congratulations to Scottie Pippen Jr. He definitely earned it. I don't think when the team signed him in January of this year, the idea was, oh, this is the future backup point guard. He grabbed the opportunity and took it. Whether it was averaging over 12 points per game in the regular season, whether it was going to Summer League and being what Zach Kleiman felt was the MVP of Summer League, but he ended up making Summer League first team out there. And then, since in the preseason, a little rocky with the turnovers and whatnot, but still the production, from an offensive and defensive standpoint, he's really, a tough defender is there. So, definitely not surprising considering, the Grizzlies had 13 guys on standard contracts. They had to have a 14th guy by the start of the season, and that's where you knew the time was ticking, and there wasn't room to create for a 14th guy on a guaranteed contract outside of the roster because they had already reached the limit of players on contract. They only could have added, after they signed all the guys to the Exhibit 10s, they could have only added another non-guaranteed contract. So wait, no, I said that wrong. They couldn't have added another guaranteed contract. They only could have added an external guaranteed contract. And, they didn't feel the need to go out and add someone to a guaranteed deal more so than the idea of upgrading Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yeah, if at some point you feel you're going to upgrade Scottie Pippen anyway, you certainly don't want to add another, because now they had some glaring need to fill with that 14th spot, so you might as well just do Pippen to fill the 14th spot.
And I guess the assumption is the multi-year, it's a 2-year deal, nothing more, right?
I think it's 4 years.
4 years?
Is it the same? Is it the Vince Williams deal?
I think it's in there. I don't know the exact financial number, but it's definitely in that. It's in the G.G. Jackson and Vince Williams grouping where he's because they can't sign him for any outrageous number when you're coming off of a two-way contract. But yeah, it's a 4-year contract from what I've heard.
Okay, so why do you have to sign somebody to 4 years like that? Why don't you just give him like 2 years and a hot cup of coffee and say thank you? Why do you got to do 4 years?
Let's start with this. One, you know he's with Clutch, right? So he probably ain't going to the table saying I'll take a 2-year contract. Being that young.
Yeah, but he's not Shea Gilgeous-Alexander here. I mean,
yeah, for sure. But at the same time, you know how much the Grizzlies believe in the developmental system,
right?
And in this case, it's the opportunity to give you a very affordable point guard for 4 years. And let's say you sign him to 2 years. Like, let's use that as the barometer here. Well, with Vince Williams, you gave him 4 years. That was obvious. G.G. Jackson, you gave him 4 years. That was obvious as well, with the idea being that if you sign them to anything lower, like let's say 2 years, the value for those guys will drastically increase by that point. Mm-hmm. And the Grizzlies kind of got to be penny pinching at this point. Like, let's just be honest. Like, you got Jaren Jackson Jr. Next contract is coming up very soon, and that's going to be upwards of $250 to $300 million potentially, somewhere in that range. And then you have, other contracts, extensions that'll be available after that. But you're paying Ja Morant and Desmond Bane near max money, already as is. So, you don't have a lot of money just sitting around here. And if Scottie Pippen Jr., let's say you sign him to a 2-year deal, and he proves to be what the Grizzlies think he can be, is a very valuable backup point guard, then the price is going to go up.
That's a good point.
You expedite that process where in 2 years, for example, the 2-year number, that's when Jaren Jackson Jr.'s new contract would hit the book. You're already paying Ja. You're already paying Dez. Mm-hmm. It just would put them in a difficult situation.
Now, well said. Good job.
Well, again, like you said,
I didn't even think about
Pippen, from his perspective, would say, well, no, I'm not taking a 2-year deal. Play me out my 2-way games and then let me go. I feel like I got a better market out there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's more valuable to the team. I think he's valuable, but maybe he's more valuable than I think. And so, therefore, if you are, and they really court you, you can demand that.
I'm sure after the performance in Summer League, there was a market for Scottie Pippen Jr. if they said, you just play me out my 2-way games and then let me go become a free agent.
The difference between 2-way money and guaranteed contract money is substantial, though.
Right.
I'm jumping on that opportunity.
Okay, so with that said, then, if the assumption is, and I think it's a good assumption, that he is valuable to them, he's earned it, he saw what they did in the Summer League, and that's why they gave him a 4-year deal, then you would assume, okay, he's going to be Ja's backup, but hasn't there been the talk about Marcus Smart and Des Bane and possibly those two in the backcourt running the show when Ja is out? So where do we stand? If you're going to give this guy the 4-year deal, you expect you're going to play him, right?
From what I've heard, the idea in terms of Desmond Bane is they want to do less of putting him on the ball this year. Last year was more of a necessity type thing. Okay. They'll do it if they have to, but they want to keep Des in, what's been a really good role for him in his NBA career so far. With Marcus Smart, I think that's the other possibility. We saw in that other game, with the first game where Ja was out, Marcus Smart was the one who moved over to starting point guard instead of them just inserting, Scottie Pippen Jr. and keeping Marcus Smart, in his off-the-ball role. So I think, Marcus Smart is definitely still going to be an option. I think Dez is less of an option. But, yeah, I think now when you're talking about the backup point guard spot, it's between Scottie Pippen Jr. and Marcus Smart and still being figured out. But, I think Scottie Pippen Jr. will have every chance, which the preseason has shown. He'll have every chance to win that thing. Like, if he doesn't win it, it won't be, I don't think, because Marcus Smart took it. It'll be simply because the Grizzlies saying, don't know if we trust him yet.
Well, also don't forget, the Grizzlies gave Kennedy Chandler a 4-year contract as a second-round pick before he ever stepped foot on the court. And
that was foolish.
But it's so little that they're not paying him $5 million a year.
Yeah. I understand.
I mean, it's what maybe
Billionaires
maybe
or billionaires
maybe
because they're
$2 million. Not even that, probably.
Right.
Yeah, it's not a substantial deal at all. I mean, it's a good bargain for a backup point guard. Like if he proves to be the tough defender that we saw through summer league and so far through parts of preseason, and he can bridge the gap when Ja Morant needs a little breather, then I think they'll be fine.
If it works out in years like 3 and 4, you've got an unbelievable bargain. If it doesn't work out, like they did with Kenny Chandler, you let him go, and it's a little blip on your salary cap.
Yeah, and DeMichael explained that perfectly. And look, we're all on the same page. I mean, we all like and feel that he deserved what he got. Now, this could be a two-edged sword here because with Pippen moving up to a standard contract, that leaves the two-way open. Do you believe it will be Yuki Kawamura who will get that unless he elects to go back to Japan and make real money? It makes a lot of sense. They don't have a point guard now with Pippen. He was going to play some in Memphis, certainly with the hustle, but not a lot. But still, in essence, they don't have the point guard, and he's also as popular as anybody. Do you think it will be that guy getting the two-way?
I think he's in prime position. I think him and Mal are the two guys who would, mostly be considered, for the spot. I think Mal gives you some athleticism, promising defense. His rebounding has been really good, and we know how much, the Grizzlies value rebounding. So I wouldn't exactly rule out Mal Pereira just yet as well. But Yugi, I think, is the guy who has the best shot. I mean, his passing is it's so good. And the Grizzlies have a history here where, Jacob Gilliard, was on a two-way contract. I don't think the height thing is something that's just going to turn them all the way off from the idea of keeping him. They did it with Jacob Gilliard, and you can make an argument, I mean, that Yugi is a better, player than Jacob Gilliard was. So I think he has a really good chance at sticking around here.
And with the money he could make in Japan, it may be the only way to keep him over here. I mean, because you got to find somewhat probably more money for him than what just an Exhibit 10 deal with the hustle.
Some good yen over there in Japan.
Oh yeah. And since he signed an Exhibit 10 deal, like he would get a bonus in theory. Like if he goes to the hustle, and I believe the way it's outlined in the CBA is if he goes to the hustle and he stays with the hustle for at least 60 days, which is 2 months, he'd be in line for a bonus that would range from somewhere to $5,000 to $75,000.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, he still wouldn't even get to $100,000, where at least the two-way contract you're talking $500,000.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big difference still, but yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I think the two-way deal is probably your key to kind of keeping you around here.
And if it was $5,000, wouldn't be much at the concession stand at FedEx Forum.
And I don't know what he would make. I don't know what his potential of making money. I don't know how much money he can make in Japan, but I'm sure it's pretty darn good money he can make over there.
Especially as popular as the guy is. Excuse me. DeMichael Cole joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. So you wrote recently about the speed that the Memphis offense is going to try to apply, which would be basically playing the fastest they've ever played in their history. Give us some of the details and what you learned about the speed of the game that the Grizzlies are trying to institute.
So you hear this idea in pretty much football, basketball, hockey, soccer too, like this, that, we want to play faster. We want to play faster. But a lot of teams say that, but what exactly is that other than just speeding it up? Right. And talking to the Grizzlies, about this, I learned a lot about, the structure, because when you think playing fast, sometimes there's chaos and just a lot of quick movements, but there's structure within it, just like a slow, methodical tempo, like, the Bo Ryan, Wisconsin offenses and things like that, or the Princeton offense. Like, it's still very methodical in its own right. So, for example, Taylor Jenkins has these goals. Hey, we want to be at the three-point line on offense by so many seconds into the shot clock. They're drilling the fact that defenses in the NBA are only going to play set defense for about 5 to 6 seconds out of a 24-second shot clock. You want to strike in those other moments when when they're not playing defense. What are some of those moments? It's quickly when you get out in transition, when you can get out so fast that you don't give the defense a chance to get set, and you catch them as mismatches, and you get easy scoring opportunities when they're trying to communicate to each other. Or when you're in your offense, and this was probably the biggest thing I learned in the story was the speed isn't necessarily just getting up the court real quick and scoring, a gazillion transition points. It's speed and pace within the half-court sets, too. It's constant movement. So now you're making the defenders think. You're making the defenders move. A lot of guys don't like to move that much on defense. You see it in the NBA a lot now where some of the star players, they kind of hide them on defense and put them on spot-up shooters and stuff so they don't have to move much. And even with the Grizzlies, we've seen, when Desmond Bain and whoever the Marcus Smart will probably guard the tougher assignments, and they'll put, Ja Morant on whoever the spot-up shooter is who's going to do the least amount of movement to kind of save his energy for offense. Well, the Grizzlies are countering that and saying, hey, yeah, Marcus Smart may not move as much as Desmond Bain and Ja Morant, naturally in the offense, but we're going to force you to play defense and really speed the game up in a way. So I think that's their thinking behind this. It sounds good. In theory, as everything, it has to be executed. I have my questions, about it, but at the same time, I think it's a solid plan, overall to make this offense better.
Friday do we expect anybody to play? Any of the good guys to play, or what? How will they handle this game Friday, you think?
We'll know more a little bit later today. I'll have more, but my thinking is it could be like a dress rehearsal type thing. I have not heard that, so we'll see. If it was me, I would handle this game. Look, I do know that if there was a game today, Ja Morant would be able to play. If there was a game today, Marcus Smart would be able to play. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been ramping up, participating in, practices and whatnot. He, I think, would be able to play as well. So with that being said, I think it's fair to say, hey, let's give one, little trial run in a half or whatever the case may be before you go to Utah, which is not an easy place to play, but is a game, if you're the Grizzlies and you expect to be as good as you think you can be, probably want to win.
Yeah, if all of those guys are able to play, then you'd certainly think that you would at least want one, however many minutes with all of them actually playing together one time this preseason.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet, and I want to see Jaren with Zach Edey. That's a big one because everyone is so fixated on this point that Jaren's blocks are going to go back up because he's back playing alongside of a center. But I mean, I think his blocks will go up. But what if I say I think there's more to it. His block numbers dropped so substantially. You can't just say, just because there was not a center on the floor. And I get it. He definitely wasn't the weak side help defender as much, and he was having to guard guys man-to-man a little bit more. But if you look at some of the best shot blockers of all time, they're getting blocks on the weak side, and they're getting blocks, while guarding, players, and players are trying to score right over them. So I'm not really just hip to the idea that, he's going to lead the league in blocks again just because he has a center. I do think they'll go up, but I still need to see what it looks like to kind of be convinced that it's just that simple. Putting a quality center alongside of Jaren for him to be back, that premier elite of the elite defenders.
I agree 100%. I think the Grizzlies are one of, if not the most overly cautious organizations in the league. And I think Taylor Jenkins would love to see all his guys play on Friday, the last chance for a tune-up game. I don't think there's any question about it. So I assume next Wednesday for the opener, you'll be in Salt Lake City and you'll join us from there?
Yep. I'll be in Salt Lake City for that one. So,
Safe travels, and we'll talk to you then, DeMichael. Thank you so much.
All right, take care, guys.
You too. Michael Cole from the Commercial Appeal. Jarvis just texted me, and Jarvo, if you missed it earlier, I congratulated you for
the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, which will be tonight, the induction ceremony of the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame. But I was rattling off the names of some of those wrestlers that'll be there Saturday before the Tigers game against North Texas, and it was a typo. It is downtown Bruno. He said, "Hey, Greg, Downtown Bruno, famous for saying things when they go wrong like, my mama always told me it bees that way sometimes. Think he's in politics in Walls, Mississippi now. Great guy. He was hilarious as a wrestling manager. Little scrawny guy with horn-rimmed thick glasses. He'd run around the ring taunting everybody, then run away from the wrestlers. Not always successfully. Thank you, Jarvo. Once again, congratulations to you.
East Coast Wings and Grill, folks, with the baseball playoffs continuing, college football seemingly every night of the week, NFL football. Of course, the NBA season getting going. All the action is always on at East Coast Wings and Grill. You can watch all the games while enjoying great food. 60 different flavors of wings to choose from, plus many other great items on the menu. Some great burgers that they've got, including that mac and cheese burger. Other great sandwiches, the Philly cheesesteak, all kinds of flatbreads and other stuff to choose from. Just delicious food. Great atmosphere to watch the games. Plenty of cold drinks, 24 draft beers on tap. Happy hour, 2 for 1 on the draft beers. You can't beat that deal. Absolutely a great deal during happy hour from 3:30 until 6:30, Monday through Friday. It's all at East Coast Wings and Grill, located just off Highway 64 out in Bartlett, right between the Lowe's and Walmart. Also online, eastcoastwings.com. You can order online for pickup. You can also get it delivered via DoorDash. East Coast Wings and Grill.
When we come back, we're talking Tigers hoops with Parthu Pajai. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
It's better over here.
T-Mobile has exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch. Pay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Mobile. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $3 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualify new line for well-qualified customers plus tax $35 device connection charge. Take this before canceling the entire account to continue remaining bill credits, and if you pay off device early, see details at T-Mobile.com.
Get ready for Genesis Diamond's largest ever sale of luxury premium wines. You can't miss this special 2-day event, October 25th and 26th. Terms you can take advantage of special pricing, see your largest financing, and a stunning selection of luxury premium wines, timepieces, hundreds of Musk, Submariners, Daytonas, Pepsi, highest model Rolex watches that you can't find anywhere else. Our luxury premium Rolexes are in pristine, light new condition, some just out of the box, and all priced to sell this event. Purchase a luxury premium Rolex or visit a Genesis retail outlet today. Diamond Stadium is approved. It's a $3,000 value. Visit a Rolex owner. Rolex buyers will be outside for the top dollar for the Rolex. Selection of luxury premium Rolex watches in the state. Take advantage of special financing. Get a 32-carat lab-grown diamond stud just for October 26 only. And only at Genesis Diamonds. Hopper and Perkins Extended.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa set. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest sponsor might go on forever. Family Leisure. Witten Road at I-40. Family and fun come together.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. Here once again are Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everybody. 9:30 the time here on this Wednesday. Last Wednesday, we began a new segment that continues today and will for the foreseeable future. We are so excited to have Parthu Pajai on weekly from the Daily Memphian to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. He joins us in studio. So last night, I mean, there was a lot of apprehension. Will the tickets sell? And I know it wasn't a sellout, but I thought overall it was a really good night. What did you think?
I'd call it a success. I mean, the number that I got from St. Jude from Alsac, I'm pulling it up right now, but it was in the neighborhood of 8,900, I believe. If the goal was 10K, obviously they didn't quite hit that, but to be where we were, just 10 days ago, where there was all this concern and worry about will they even get to 5 or 6, and then to get to 8 and some change, damn near pushing 9. Like, it was a good turnout, and it was a great atmosphere, I thought.
Yeah, to me, that's the thing. Like, for an exhibition game, the atmosphere was fantastic. And again, like I said earlier, there was a lot of North Carolina fans there, so it even made it more fun because they were the fans were going back and forth with each other.
Yeah, there was a Tar Heels chant that had broken out, obviously, when Carolina was on that run in the second half. So they traveled well. There was a lot of, obviously, Memphis Tiger Blue in the crowd. And I think, when I looked up from press row when the game was starting, I even took a picture and posted it on Twitter, not to kind of put anybody on blast or anything. I was just literally trying to show, my followers, hey, this is what the crowd looks like at tip-off, and it didn't look great, right? It looked disappointing.
No, it filled in. Yeah,
at that point.
At tip-off, I was like,
but
whoa.
Man,
it filled in quickly.
At the, I don't know, under 12 mark or whatever the first half, like you look back up and you're like, oh, wait. People are here.
Yes.
And it was a raucous environment for sure.
And personally for you, it's kind of cool. You get North Carolina. That's your school. You're an alum playing against a school and a program that you cover here, working professionally. So a neat night for you.
No, that was cool. I got to see Steve Kirshner, the longtime SID over there. Obviously, he's been there forever and was there when I was a student and was super helpful to me. So I got to reconnect with him and some of the beat guys over in Chapel Hill who made the trip to Memphis. We got to catch up as well.
So the people I spoke with, and Eli, you can tell me if it was the same for you and then Parth for you, but they thought the Tigers played extremely well. They were very happy with the effort last night. Penny, not as much. I mean, he was certainly trying to go right down the road.
More measured, right?
More measured.
Which has been a theme. We'll talk about that.
I like that.
Yep,
I like that from Penny. So he wasn't too high, too low.
Mm-hmm.
But the fans were excited about going out there and playing as hard as they did. Did you get that feel as well from people you spoke with?
Absolutely. I mean, I sit right on the floor there on press row, and behind me are the Bird brothers and others who are regulars there, and you can kind of hear the chatter.
Sure.
And in the first, 15, 16, 17 minutes of the game, like, people are like, oh, I like this team. Oh, I didn't know he could do that. Oh, they're playing their butts off. You kind of hear that commentary, and it's like, okay, no matter what the tone around this program was from the fan base about, people being apprehensive and cautious and not wanting to get too invested, you snap your fingers and people are right back on that Memphis Tiger bandwagon, which is awesome. That's what fandom's about, right? It's about, being willing to fall in love again, if you will.
It was funny after the game. One guy was sitting there, and there was some Memphis fans talking with some North Carolina fans right behind me in the stands, and the Memphis fans were talking, and I don't know if they knew each other or not beforehand, or if they just started chatting. And the Memphis fans were like, we're pretty happy with the way we played, everything else, blah blah blah. And then the North Carolina fans were like, but we didn't have our best player,
and that is,
and the Memphis fans went,
note, of course.
Oh, really? It was they all of a sudden got very disappointed. Like, oh, that you guys don't have your best player? Like, no, yeah, our All-American didn't play tonight. They're like, if I like the Memphis fans, then were like, well, crap, that wasn't as nearly as good as I thought it was. But again, they played hard. And again, that's still a very good North Carolina team. That's a low. They're going to be. Again, they're a top 10 team with R.J. Davis, but with Trimble doing what he did last night, that is a really good team.
And look, you're always going to welcome back a star like R.J. Davis, but Trimble probably doesn't go off if Davis is there.
Not
he
for
doesn't
33.
go for
No,
33 points. So I don't know how much. It's easy to say they'd be way better, but maybe not. Still, that's a really good team. And
I think they would be way better. I mean,
yes.
I think that's where I disagree.
A first-team All-American is a
top 3 player in the country.
Well, in the second half, they were really... Now, first half, they did struggle, and Trimble talked about that in the press conference. But the second half, they looked really good.
And I think that's what I mean. Like, if R.J. Davis was there being the conductor running the show...
Yeah, I don't want to downplay...
Maybe they wouldn't have been out of sorts,
I don't want to...
15 minutes
that's true. I don't want to downplay R.J. Davis, but Trimble does not go off for 33 points. As Hubert Davis said, probably one of the best games. He was almost shocked. He goes, maybe one of the best, probably the best game he's played in 3 years there.
This one doesn't count, but I believe his career high prior to last night was 12 points.
That's what I mean.
He averaged like 6 points a game.
Averaged 5 and some change last year. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
For the Tigers, Musa didn't play, but I just don't know. I mean, people are getting all excited about Musa again. He wasn't good when he was here the first time.
Defensive, a former Big 12 defensive player.
I know. It'll help out a little defensively, but when he's on the floor, he's not going to help out offensively unless they're throwing alley oops to him. He's not even going to start, right?
He's not going to start, but I mean, that's one of the best backup centers in the country. Like, I think, and maybe that's
last year at Ole Miss, he was not that good. Last year at Ole Miss, he didn't do.
I think people are overvaluing who Musa.
Former Big 12 Player of the Year off your bench.
Big 12 defensive player.
Big 12, sorry, Big 12.
He was coming off Ole Miss's bench too.
He was bad last year. He was bad in Memphis. He was bad at Ole Miss. I don't know if you want to depend too much on him. I'm a little worried about inside scoring. Dane Danger, after that first bucket, did not look good at all. And
that
if
first
he's going to
bucket,
shoot,
though, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be.
Nice.
Yeah. He's going to dominate inside. And then again, he's going up against North Carolina. It's the first game. He was calling for the ball. Sometimes they weren't able to get it inside to him. There might be a little bit of frustration. He can't shoot free throws, which is really going to hurt. So I'm a little concerned with that inside scoring. I'm also a little bit concerned with the outside shooting. So that scoring is really going to have to come basically from those three guys, from Hunter, from Haggerty, and from Rogers.
Yeah, pretty much. And I guess we'll see how Dane Danger kind of incorporates himself into the mix there. Maybe that game, that style of play with as fast as North Carolina plays was a little bit too quick for him, perhaps. I don't know. Because he is a guy that you got to be a little bit more intentional about feeding, not quite to the point of Jordan Brown. He can do a little bit more than that with the ball in his hands, but you kind of got to be purposeful, right, about getting him the ball.
And they have some athletic guys up front. The pick and roll was kind of giving him some problems. It seemed like to kind of because they got Cadeau, who's like awesome at those little pocket passes off pick and rolls too.
Yep.
There's some of these guys we don't really talk about. Like, how does PJ Carter fit in on this team? Is there minutes for him? Like, what is his role?
Well, he's going to have a role just because the lack of shooting that Greg mentioned, right? PJ Carter and Colby Rogers are the only two players on this roster, aside from Nicholas Jourdain, who did it in a very small sample size compared to those guys. But in terms of an actual decent amount to work with, decent volume, decent sample size, those are the only two guys that shot over, I believe, 33% from three for their careers, that have shot over 33% from three. So you're going to need him to knock down some shots,
question
for sure.
about it. Hubert Davis was asked about the Tigers and the NCAA tournament, and assuming that he was being honest, he says they're definitely a tournament team. Then Penny Hardaway was asked that same question, or basically told what Hubert Davis had to say, and he didn't just come out and go, oh, yeah, we're definitely a tournament team. He talked about, we got to get better in this, we got to get better in that. our pace was terrible in the second half. We were good in the first half. We got to get better in this way and that way. It is a different Penny Hardaway, as you were alluding to earlier.
Absolutely.
He's not going to come out there and go, I got the best point guard, I got the best center, we got the best shooters. He's being very cautious in what he says, and I don't mind either way. I like when he's boisterous as well, because
we love that,
he
right?
gives us he gives us ammunition. But then again, being a little bit more guarded this year probably makes sense.
No, he's definitely measured. He's calculated. He's going into these press availabilities, I think, from my understanding, knowing kind of what he wants to say, what message, what narrative he wants to put out there. And I think we've seen that shift kind of happen over the past month or so. And it was the same thing at AAC Media Day, where he talked to me one-on-one and talked to other media members one-on-one as well. And you kind of saw the tone there. And it wasn't, hey, we want all the smoke. It wasn't,
right,
we're the biggest and baddest. It wasn't, hey, we feel some type of way about UAB being picked first. It was more so, hey, let's see what happens. We're going to work hard, and that's all we can control. And I think that's kind of the message he's trying to get across.
Speaking of that, were you surprised at all that UAB was the pick to win it over the Tigers?
A little bit, just because from on-paper talent, advanced analytics, and every really other metric, it seems like Memphis is considerably better. It's not even like it's a coin flip in terms of the talent and what the stats and the data are saying. But, then you take a step back and you're like, okay, UAB did make the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 seasons. They won the conference tournament in the AAC. They brought back 6 of their top 8 scorers. They brought back Yaxel Lendenborg, who is supposed to take another big step this season, or took another big step this offseason. And Andy Kennedy's back. So you take all that in consideration, and you look at, hey, Memphis tried this experiment a year ago, and it failed, quite frankly. You kind of got to give UAB the benefit of the doubt.
You cannot undervalue the importance of continuity.
Not in college basketball.
And
nope,
they have
you
that.
can't. Mm-hmm.
Now, with that said, and again, a one-game sample. And I came away liking a lot of things. I mean, I thought they were bad against the pick and roll.
They were.
They weren't getting back fast enough, but Carolina plays that kind of pace. And Memphis doesn't play a slow pace, so they got to be better with that. But the way I look at it is this. Last year was a weird year where they were really good non-conference against a strong field, and then everything went kaput in the conference. I think it's going to be tough to have that kind of success this year. With the schedule they play, the gauntlet they play, they're still going to try to find chemistry early in the season. I'd be surprised if they have this gaudy record non-conference. But I think in the conference, they're going to be really, really good. Because I see a team where I don't really see egos out there, at least not from what I've seen. And I've only been
just game one, just preseason game
and
one.
Pro Day, and just
Right.
being around them a little bit.
100%. And talking to folks, I'm sure you've done
right.
the same. Yep.
So if that continuity gets better and the chemistry is there, they have athletes that are probably, like you said, when you look at that roster, better than anybody in the league. There's no reason why they're not battling UAB. Maybe there's another team out there for the conference championship. Anything less, I'd be really surprised this time around. Now, we were all shocked last year, but there were a lot of reasons, and the chemistry was not there, and the injuries, and
a lot of non-basketball
disgruntlement, and all the NIL. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and I think if it doesn't, then they have a chance. But I think they're going to have to win the conference championship. I think it's a one-bid league, and I don't know. I would be very surprised if they go out to Hawaii and just kick tail and all that. If they are, then Katie bar the door. That means they've done an amazing job of finding that chemistry. But I think they're going to be a fun team. And I think the Tigers fans are going to be proud of this team, because I could see that these guys are blue-collar all the way, hard workers, and it seems like they like each other.
Yeah, they embody Penny's philosophies, and I wrote that last night in one of my stories after the game, that the ceiling may be lower talent-wise compared to last year's team with Javon Quinterly and Naquan Tomlin, who was added later, David Jones, who was just an automatic bucket getter. This team doesn't have a David Jones, right? But collectively, I think this roster fits what Penny wants to do much, much better in terms of being scrappy, being physical, starting things on defense and letting your kind of offense go from there. And I think even if the early season success isn't that of last season, which is hard to imagine, as Greg just said, it's hard to imagine them running through this non-conference and being ranked in the top 10 in the country come January. I think Tiger fans will probably appreciate this journey more, this team more, than last year's cumulatively, if that makes sense.
I don't think there's any doubt.
You said this team doesn't have David Jones. Couldn't Haggerty be pretty much David Jones?
gotta be able to knock down shots. I think he did so last night. I don't know what he shot from three.
He was 1 for 2.
Was he 1 for 2? Okay.
Yeah, 8 of 14 overall,
8 of 14
7 of 9
overall.
from the free throw line.
Yeah, different kind of player, but yeah, he could definitely fill that.
I mean, like he can get a bucket kind of when he wants.
Kendrick Davis type role, right?
Yeah, I mean he's a big time scorer. And he grabbed 9 rebounds last night. Like he's got one of those guys that like you just kind of you look at the end of the night and he's going to have stats all across the board.
This could be more like the Jeremiah Martin team.
Okay.
With Haggerty being Jeremiah Martin. I don't think as much the Davis DeAndre Williams team because there's no DeAndre Williams. And Haggerty
I guess Tyrese Hunter would be your even if you're talking about 1-2 punch.
No, I'm talking about having a big, having a big.
Okay, I thought you just mean literally in the hierarchy.
No, a big. Because I'm looking at the front court scoring. Where are they getting the front court scoring? Is it Jourdain? I mean, all of a sudden,
and Dane's going to be better. Like from everything that I've heard and people I've spoken to, it seems like that game last night was an anomaly.
Yeah, I think you're right. And they, I mean, they got to get him the ball. He was never frustrated. Don't get me wrong, but I know there were times he was calling for it and they weren't able to get it to him. But I think Penny also talked about in that first half he liked the pace, and that pace was a lot of times Haggerty or Hunter driving, going right to the hole, almost like what Ja would do. Go to the hole,
getting a long rebound and running.
Because what Memphis is not great at is a half court offense.
No,
right?
And that was an issue last night as well.
Yeah, and maybe they'll be better as the season progresses. But up and down, get to the hole, get to the free throw line, make your free throws, or make shots. I think it's going to be extremely important. So. The Huntsville game against Alabama is when?
October 28th, 7 p.m.
Okay. And so how much better do you expect them to be? Obviously, they're playing another formidable opponent.
For sure.
But the improvement from themselves from one game, the first to the second.
Yeah, I think some of the second half turnover stuff will be cleaned up. That's a lot of the results of these guys have never played together before. There's 10 new scholarship guys on this team. They've done, scrimmages amongst themselves, but playing a real team, the caliber of North Carolina, that's a veteran squad that, has continuity. I think that was bound to happen. Maybe you didn't obviously want 22 turnovers, but, that issue was going to be there. I think that will be cleaned up. But that's not far. I mean, it's 12 days away. I don't know how much of a leap you can expect them to make, right? In 2 weeks, especially when you're going up against another national title contender in Alabama.
Koji will be a little healthier.
And who wants to play way faster than North Carolina even plays.
A lot more threes than North Carolina.
But Penny talked about having this time now is going to be very important to fix what was wrong. But Koji with the shoulder who played, and maybe that was a surprise. He hasn't played a lot.
He looked good early on, even with the foul trouble.
He'll get better, right? I'm talking about health-wise.
Yeah.
And then Cisse again, who's a defensive stalwart. He will be, I would assume, ready to go for the Alabama exhibition. So they'll be more at full strength. Not that they weren't here. I mean, pretty much full strength. But again, I thought overall it was a really, really good night. And
there was enough there for Tiger fans to say, hey, this is promising.
Absolutely. Parth, great stuff. We'll talk to you next week.
Y'all. Absolutely.
That is Parth Upadhyay from the Daily Memphian. Make sure to read all his great stories at the DM. Follow him on Twitter at PUPADHYAYA_. We'll take a timeout, come back and wrap things up for this Wednesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings right here on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, friends. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. And for 39 years, we've been the personal jewelers for thousands of Memphians and Mid-Southerners. For a very long time, we've been offering the finest and beautiful jewelry to help our customers celebrate those very special occasions and let their loved ones know just how treasured they are. Diamonds and the finest gemstones are our specialty. Set in whatever she wants, a ring or a pendant, a pair of earrings or a bracelet. We search the world's jewelry markets looking for pieces that are not only exquisite and beautiful, but also unique and eye-catching. We can help you make her smile in a way that neither one of you will ever forget. Come see us at Russell Brothers. Let us put our many years of experience to work for you. Let us help you say I love you in the best way you can imagine. 5 decades providing beauty, value, quality, and service. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Power at Perkins.
I've always gotten tons of UTIs.
cranberry products never worked for me, and I was desperate for a way to be proactive. I'm Jenna Ryan, CEO and founder of Eucora. We've worked with doctors to develop effective urinary tract health products. Eucora is helping over 100,000 women stay healthy. Ready to join them? Get 30% off at eucora.com/radio. That's UQORA.com/radio.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Memphis, it's official. Crab King's Seafood is where it's at. For the most flavored seafood and the biggest plates, run to a Crab King's near you. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. The price, the portions, the service is why Crab King's is number one. So don't be disappointed in seafood. Make the right choice the first time and every time. Make it Crab King's. Crab King's have only locally grown catfish. Come and devour tasty snow crabs, king crab, shrimp, salmon, catfish, calamari, and so much more. Enjoy Memphis's best tasting pasta with your choice of toppings. Visit the Bartlett Cordova location at 7140 Stage Road. Crab King's is open Wednesday through Sunday. Enjoy 50% off lunch portions and dollar fountain drinks. The number one name in Cajun seafood is Crab King's Seafood, a Memphis favorite. Crab King, 7140 Stage Road. Kings with the Z.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour brought to you by Jenkins Floors and More. And once again, our Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:50 the time. Again, as we've talked about throughout the show, the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame induction of their 2024 class tonight over at the Convention Center. A nice University of Memphis / Memphis State flair to it. We talked about Jarvis Greer going in, Dick Thadgen going in, Andy Roberts, the great racquetball player, the former U.S. Open champion. I remember one time getting to play a little bit against him. That was a fun thing I did early in my career when I came to Memphis. Regina Street, the former basketball star at the University of Memphis, then Memphis State. And Andre Turner, who is part of the staff for Penny Hardaway's team, the former head coach at Mitchell High School, at Lane College. He goes in. Bobby Bingo Smith. I remember as a youngster when I watched the NBA, I remember Bingo Smith with the Cleveland Cavaliers and those butterscotch uniforms. Reggie White, the late Reggie White, goes in, and Zach Randolph, we all know him and love him. Zebo, the former Grizzly star, that's your class of 2024. And there's a special award, and I'm not sure exactly what the award is called, but for Ken Bennett, a good friend, Ken Bennett, who started up Street Ministries. He will be honored as well tonight. So congratulations to everyone.
Absolutely. Congratulations to them. And great honor. Good for all those folks. The SEC has their basketball tip-off stuff going on. I think they're all down there today, or I don't know. Maybe some of them are down there. I'm not exactly sure. But if you missed the way the SEC was picked preseason, Alabama, of course, who the Tigers will play in the next exhibition game, was picked as the top team in the SEC. Theirs is a media poll, not a coach's poll. This was from the media. Alabama picked one, Auburn two. So the Iron Bowl on the court could be a huge one this year.
Going to be fierce.
Tennessee third, Arkansas fourth, Texas A&M fifth, Florida sixth, Texas seventh, Kentucky eighth, Ole Miss at ninth, Mississippi State 10th, South Carolina 11th, Georgia, Missouri picked 13th. Of course, they're on the Tigers schedule. LSU 14th, Oklahoma 15th, and then Vanderbilt picked last in the SEC.
Well, Ole Miss 9th, yet preseason top 25.
Yeah, but there are 9 SEC teams.
That's what I'm saying. That's a lot of support. That's going to be a fun. It always is, but it's going to be a fun league to watch.
First team All SEC, Mark Sears, who was picked as the Player of the Year. Janai Broom from Auburn, Walter Clayton Jr. of Florida, Zakai Ziegler from Tennessee, and Wade Taylor IV from Texas A&M. It's a pretty good group of guards right there with Sears, Clayton, Ziegler, and Taylor.
And how long has Janai Broom been at Auburn? 12 years? Seems like he's been there forever.
I don't know. What is this? Only his third year.
Is it really?
Zakai Ziegler's been at Tennessee for a long time.
No, yeah, that's true.
Matthew Morrell, the Memphis native at Ole Miss, who's been there for a long time.
Yes, he has.
He was a second-team selection.
I thought he was gone.
Grant Nelson of Alabama, Jonas Adu, who now is, instead of Tennessee, is at Arkansas. Janelle Davis, the former Florida Atlantic guy, who's now at Arkansas. He's also second team. And then Josh Hubbard from Mississippi State, also second team, all SEC preseason selections there. And they've got their stuff going on today. They'll be all over SEC Network if you want to see all the coaches and players and folks as far as SEC basketball is concerned.
Where's it taking place?
Birmingham.
In Birmingham, okay. Also today, taking place in New York at Citi Field. It's Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. The Mets have stolen home field advantage away from the Dodgers. Games 3, 4, and 5 all in New York. And then if it's still not over, they go back to Los Angeles. The Mets today will throw Luis Severino, the right-hander. The Dodgers will go with right-hander Walker Buehler.
Folks, get ready for Genesis Diamond's largest ever sale on luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. This is coming up. It's a 2-day event, not this weekend, but next weekend, October 25th and the 26th. You can take advantage of special pricing, zero-interest financing, as well on stunning, luxurious pre-owned Rolex watches. They've brought in hundreds and hundreds of these watches, hard-to-find models, everything you can imagine. And not only will they be selling, but they'll also be buying if you're looking to get rid of one, or maybe you want to trade. They will do that during this event going on again next weekend, October 25th and the 26th at Genesis Diamonds. Also, not only can you take advantage of the special pricing and the special financing, but you can get the 2-carat. If you buy one of these, you get a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings absolutely free. So how about that deal? That's right. Not only do you get the great Rolex watch, but if you buy that, they're going to throw in the pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings absolutely free. Genesis Diamonds, October 25th and 26th only, Poplar and Perkins Extended.
So I just saw this tweet from Jonathan Gavoni, and it's certainly going to make me feel really, really old. Maybe some other people out there as well. It's a list of players for the USA Basketball mini camp. It says scouting future NBA draft picks in 2026 and beyond, including standouts. And they throw the list, includes guys like Christian Collins and Brandon McCoy. Eric Dampier Jr. Oh, my gosh. When I got here, one of the early things I did was we covered Mississippi State in the Final Four. And Eric Dampier was one of the stars of that team. And that just makes me feel really, really old with Eric Dampier Jr. Wow. That's going to do it for us today. We appreciate
you know what else should make you feel really, really old?
That I'm old.
Yeah, you're really old.
I know, buddy. And you are 50 now. 50 years old.
I know. And I feel old.
I'm stretching, I'm kicking, I'm stretching. I'm 50 years old. Thanks to Barrett Sallee, to Jerry Palm, to DeMichael Cole, to Parth Upadhyay for joining us on the program today. Tomorrow we begin things bright and early at 7 a.m. Ryan Silverfield, Tigers football coach, joins us at 8:05, followed by the Tigers football report as we preview the Tigers and North Texas and the battle of 5-1 teams. Kerry Miller at 8:45 on the Major League Baseball postseason. And then from 9 to 10, it's the AutoZone Liberty Bowl Inside College Football Hour with Harold Grader and our world-famous Pick 6. Waldo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next for Eli Savoy and Elijah Seegers. I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.
Summer may be over, but yard work, it goes on.